I just want to take this opportunity to thank Sabrina for having me on her podcast, but also for allowing me to dedicate my episode to my beloved friend, Kizzy, who sadly passed away due to battling with cancer for essentially over a decade. The reason why I want to dedicate this to her is because not only was she an amazing woman, she was a woman of integrity, she was a woman of grace, she was a woman of nurturing, and a true version of mothering in all seasons, whether that was with the good or with the bad. So I hope that this episode does her proud. I hope that although many of you may have never met her, that glimmers of her are felt throughout this episode. So I hope you enjoy. I hope this episode resonates with you. It brings you healing, comfort, and the understanding that not only are you valued, but you are here for a purpose. And although mothering is one of those roles, please do not allow yourself to just be confined to that, because trust me, you are worth so much more.
Welcome to the Unheard Cries of Mother, the podcast, where we dive into the raw, unfiltered stories of motherhood, the joys, the struggles, the sacrifices, and the triumphs. Here, we amplify the voices that too often go unheard, shining a light on the incredible strength, resilience, and love of mothers around the world. I'm your host, Sabrina Ben-Salmi, and I invite you to join me as we uncover the stories behind the smiles, share lessons learned, and create a community that uplifts, supports, and inspires. Let's honor the unheard cries and celebrate the silent victories of mothers together. Nadine, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to connect here with me today. Really looking forward to this. Thank you so much. So the next question. Here we go.
Get ahead of yourself, girl.
One of those days, just it, and I'm going to leave that in because I think it's a message to the listeners. We do have those days. I'm far from perfect, so I'm going to leave that in and just understand we're going to make mistakes and it's okay. So the first one that I would like to ask you is, can you share a pivotal moment in your motherhood journey that shaped who you are today?
I can. I'm going to apologize in advance because it's summer holidays and you're going to get all the heavy elephant footsteps going on around my house because I can hear like creaking already. So I apologize if this affects anybody's pleasure in listening.
That's the reason I'm upstairs, but you're so funny. I've got so much, I'm like,
Yeah, I can hear too much.
But the nice thing about this is that's the beauty. We're just mums having a conversation, doesn't have to be perfect. And the reality is we push through whatever's going on. So it's a beautiful demonstration. Thank you.
So pivotal moment in my motherhood is 2017, having my tragic, but in some ways it's triumphant. It's going to sound quite strange me saying this, and I'll put a disclaimer, this is about pregnancy loss. But as I explain it will make sense why I've used the word triumphant. So in 2017, I had 2 preterm labours. They were not twins, it was 2 separate pregnancies. I gave birth to my son, Romaziah, on the 30th of January. I found out I was pregnant the end of March, I believe it was, with Shakur. And then unfortunately, I ended up losing him that August, the 16th, which is the same day as my grandmother's birthday. And it was a very heartbreaking, heart-wrenching period of motherhood because prior to this, I have 3 older children, never had any complications in my pregnancies. They always like to do the little surprises at the end when it came to labor, but overall, it was always just straightforward. So for me to go through this twice was a very 1 in 20,000 or something crazy like that, because it was very much similar gestations, no raw reasons. Shortly after I had my, I think it's your 20-week scans. So everything was perfectly fine. There was no concerns with the babies. There was no concerns with my health. So it was very much tragic in the sense of the unexpected nature of, oh, this has happened. the reason why I said that it was also triumphant, because the pivotal aspect was I learned a lot about myself as a mother during that process. And some of it was good in the sense of having a strength at that time. I believe now that that was God strengthening me during that period. I wasn't a believer then. I was aware, but I didn't believe. Let's put it like that. And I was able to still function. I was able to still navigate. I was able to still mother the 3 children that I had. But it showed me more so about who I was. I feel like the loss of my sons reminded me of who I was as a woman. I'm a firm believer that our children choose us. God allows for them to pick us. So for whatever reason, they picked me for that season of time. And I do believe that it was to truly awaken parts of myself that I didn't know had become dormant, that I didn't know didn't exist. But it also made me challenge the things about me that I thought were amazing things. So being that strong woman, but then learning that there's also strength, ironically, in being weak and being vulnerable and being open to being like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing. I can't do this. I don't even feel like I want to do this. I just want to be in my bed and cry and just be in my feelings. But I know that if that period in my life didn't happen, I wouldn't be not just the mother, but the woman that I've become since then.
Like, there's so much strength from your response. I loved how you phrased it. There's that saying that we can't connect the dots when we're going through it, but we can only connect it looking back. And being able to see that, like, the most painful moment for a mother, you know, to experience that, but still be able to take a lesson, still be able to see that there was a reason, even if it was a painful one, there was a reason, and it's made me who I am today, both as a mother and as a woman. And I really love how you're very good at making distinctions. You're very contextual. And I said this to you before, but when you talk, you although you're sharing your story, you're very naturally gifted at making it a teachable moment. And yeah, I just want to thank you for that. It's amazing. Really, really is amazing. But the strength you would have needed. But I love how you said that there is actually true strength in surrendering, just being in that weakness, that so-called weakness, right? And that's amazing. And just giving yourself permission to go, I just need to cry. I need to be in my bed. I need to be in my feelings. I think we do live in a society, for whatever reason, where we victim shame and victim blame. It's like, you know, get yourself back up. You don't need to try. You keep going. But actually, you just say, I'm going to honor this. I need it's a sacred moment for me as a mother.
Because for me, I was like, I got to a point, I said to myself, you've got 2 weeks to grieve. Like, I literally put a deadline on it. I was like, you can't grieve longer than 2 weeks. And even then, like, this is so unrealistic. Like, who grieves in 2 weeks? But in my mind, it was almost like some sort of protective mechanism. Like, you don't have time. You don't, there's people relying on you. There's people depending on you. You are the person that other people go to. So you can't afford to just be in your hole right now. You better figure it out in 2 weeks. And so said, so done. And it's only until when I had therapy that I realized, like, you have become so accustomed to worrying about everybody's emotional baggage and making sure everyone else is okay, you are comfortable with putting all your stuff to the back. And when you go into autopilot, it doesn't even feel like it's piling up. It's just literally there in the back, just getting higher and higher. So yeah, it's definitely a lesson well learned.
And I'm glad that you actually addressed that in therapy, because I think there's something very sacred about going to therapy, because some people often say, like, I don't like saying no to others. I don't like hurting others. I don't like letting people down. And sometimes that moment when the therapist said, but you are letting someone down, and that someone's you. And it's like that reality kicks in, and that you've never seen yourself as a valued person in the equation. It's about protecting someone else, like you said, showing up. Well, you're also someone you need to show up for and protect and know and put forward first sometimes. So, you know, thank you so much for that, for exchanging that with me. Really good. Next question is, what part of your story do you feel has gone unheard or unacknowledged?
There's probably a few.
I can imagine you've got loads to
But when you really think about it, you're like,
it's like,
I think honestly, it goes back to the whole idea of strength, to be fair. I feel like it's not even because I haven't been heard, it's because I was too fearful or anxious about speaking up. So when I was feeling like weary or downtrodden or just like disheartened, I would hoard that and just be in the position of like, yeah, I'm going to sort it out for myself. Like, I'll figure it out. Like, it'll be fine. I always figure stuff out. This is just like a season. Opposed to, Mum, I'm struggling. I don't know, whoever my best friend was at the time. Like, I really don't know what I'm doing. Like, I feel very overwhelmed. Where can I get help? Where can I get assistance? Accessing things. I think back then as well, it wasn't as accessible to have therapy. I think COVID definitely opened up the doors for people to have more access to like mental health resources and stuff. And I think because of that, it left me unheard in the external. Internally, I heard everything. And for me, I've spoken to you about this before, I would just journal stuff. I've always journal stuff. So for that, I was able to give myself a way of being heard, but it was so confined, it wasn't making a ripple anywhere else. It was just me, myself, and I, literally, and my book and my journal. And I think, although, yes, it was very therapeutic at the time, it's also very murky when you put yourself in that position, because then you can't be the victim and the hero at the same time. Like you literally just don't have enough energy to do both. You have to pick a side. Do you know what I mean? So over time, I've learned the importance of there's no shame, there's no guilt in like being like I can't do it. And I know that for people who are similar to me in this whole aspect of being that strong friend, that strong person, that strong mother, that strong partner, you become so familiar with the identity that without it you feel lost. So instead of trying to explore what goes beyond that, you're like, I know how to function as this. I know how to navigate these type of spaces. I know what my capacity can do for this type of situation and this type of situation. So even though I know internally I need more or I need assistance, I'll just stay where I am because I feel more empowered there than having to step into uncertainty of like, will this help? Or could I potentially be making it worse, per se? And because of that, I kind of rendered myself silent throughout a lot of periods. Yeah.
Wow. You've done it again. You've done it so well again. I loved when you started the response. You spoke about sometimes in our journey, it's not always that we're not surrounded by support. It's not always that they're not willing to help. It's actually a case, do we give ourselves permission to even reach out and say, you know, Mum, I love the way you were really specific. Mum, this is what I'm going through. You, my best friend, this is what it is. My partner, XYZ. And I think that's a real aspect of motherhood. Sometimes it's very loud inside, but don't always vocalize it. And I loved how you just walked us through how you were having that therapeutic experience, but you described it as the ripple effects weren't happening because it was just contained in this safe aspect of what you could deal with. But you know, I love what you're saying. You know, you can't be the hero and the villain at the same time. So it's a case giving yourself permission to get past those pain, or, you know, whatever the emotion is that stops us from sharing at the time, get past that to allow us to have those ripple effects of support if you are privy to have that and lucky enough to have it around you. And I think there's something very beautiful about your connection with your own journaling story. You know, that's just your natural go-to.
Yeah.
It's duck to water. It's just like, yeah, I'm just going to have a space with me. But you're very aware. I always say this to you, how self-conscious you are in what is it that I need? Where's things going? And just being honest with yourself. I love that because I think I'm a strong believer on that essence of only your true self set you free. Sometimes half the problem is that we're like, oh no, I'm fine. You know, like it's not just you're telling people, you're telling yourself, I'm fine. Like we just get on with it. And I think that's much worse. There's nothing wrong with putting your hands up and just saying either to ourselves and when we're ready to with others. So thank you so much for sharing that. Really beautiful. So the next question I have is when you were going through these experiences, what words of encouragement or support would you have needed at the time that may have sort of made that experience a little bit easier for you to grow through?
I think the main one would be, and it's interesting because it's been coming up a lot for me recently. And it's funny how we go through cycles. So don't think that Nadine's here and she's got everything resolved and her life is just like therapeutic bliss day in and day out, because it's really not. I'm in a season which truly reflects this response to this question, which is, even though these weren't the words that were used, just to like tie it all together, show yourself grace. That is literally what I needed somebody to say to me back then. Like, it's okay. Like, it's okay that you're sad. It's okay that you're crying. It's okay that you have all these emotions. You don't know where to place them, where to put them. Because of that, you don't even know who you need to talk to, if anybody at all. Especially more so in my period before coming to Christ, I would say very much I would have needed somebody to say something along those lines, even if it wasn't those words. Because again, when I think about womanhood, when I think about motherhood, when I think about being a Black female mother, again, it's that affordability of, you don't have to carry the burdens of the world. You don't have to be the fixer. You don't have to be the savior. You don't, like, sometimes you just don't have to be anything. Like, just don't do anything. Don't worry about anything. Just like be still, have that moment to be still, feel what you're feeling, going through it. But throughout those waves of things, show yourself grace. Like, I don't think we say enough to ourselves in general. And that's whether you're a man, a woman, or a child. Like, we should really learn to show ourselves a lot more grace than what we do. And I think because of the world that we're living in now, with things like social media, everything is accessible, everybody's on a platform, everyone is visible, whether we want to be visible or not. We live up to these very invisible standards and expectations. So even when we're doing okay, we automatically think, yeah, but I'm not doing enough. I could be doing more. I could have said more. I could have done this. I could have more money. I could have whatever it is, which is a clear indicator that we're not showing ourselves enough grace. Because if we were, it would be like, okay, well, where I'm at is sufficient. I'm content. I'm satisfied with this. Today's been a good day. Might not have been how I planned it, but I'm still alive. Let me show myself a little grace. Like, that is where I'm trying to become more grounded and rooted in, even at this time in my life.
You know, I just need to echo what you said about grace. I love that so much, because as you were speaking, it was just like, I just had this vision of, like, as a mother, you just take a deep breath. You just feel like a weight is off your shoulders, in that you're always running around. And I love how you described it, like, as mothers, as women, and you keep making that distinction, because it's not the same. The two are the same.
Yeah, it's two separate things.
Both of who you are. And the reality is that we often, as women and mothers, we are everything to everyone. But who are we to ourselves? And just to give yourself grace, it's like half the problem disappears out the window. Like, if we just imagine, in any given moment we've felt really tense, stressed, sad, down, and if we were just to pause and give ourselves grace, I think that is such as, I've got goosebumps. Like, I love the way you said that, because it's the difference that makes the difference. Like, am I a good mom? Am I doing this right? Am I, just give yourself grace? Like, that overthinking, that avalanche of, things are not going right. I burnt the dinner. This has happened. We're running the floor late. Just pause and give yourself grace. That is so, so wise. And, it's a true testimony to your own journey, and again, to your self-awareness. I'm going to keep saying that. Beautiful. Thank you for that. Next question I have is, how has motherhood changed your sense of identity?
Okay, so I feel like there's the three parts to it. So we have the season of my three eldest children. So I have an 18-year-old son, 17-year-old son, 14-year-old daughter. And that was just busy. Like, between 20, when was Leah born? 07. So between like 07 and like 2013, 14, it just felt like a lot of stuff. And the reason why it felt like a lot of stuff is because when my eldest son was around 2, he was diagnosed with a rare form of testicular cancer. And it was really, really weird, because it was found in middle-aged men. And during his time, my dad was also going through stage 4 cancer. He had lymphoma, and he sadly passed away. Shortly after that, obviously I'm dealing with, like, my dad, hospitals, appointments with my mom, stuff like that, and then going to, like, Sutton to deal with my son's specialist care, and then having a newborn baby and having to deal with that stuff. And then my dad's passing, like, there was just lots and lots of things. And then shortly after my dad passed away in in August, I found out, I think in like October, I was pregnant with my daughter. And then having 3 children so close together in age and being in my 20s was a lot. And it didn't feel like a lot at the time, funnily enough, because there will be periods where I will say to people when they're like friends and stuff, and they'll be like, "Oh, like, how come you got to go to the hospital?" And I explain to them, and I've had people cry, and I was like, "Why are you crying?" And they're like, "Because this is so sad, like your baby." And I'm like, "Yeah, but thankfully he was fine. Like, he barely remembers anything." But I think that was me again going into the default strength mode and just like, I have children, I have to figure this out. We just gotta do what we gotta do. There wasn't space to process, so it was a lot of doing and not a lot of real feeling. To be fair, it was just like, I got stuff to do, so like I gotta move house. Me and my ex-husband at the time, we have to move. We have these children. We can't be in temporary accommodation. It's too small. Like, all the things were happening at the same time. That period, I feel like, not in a bad way, so I don't want this to come across as negative, but I feel like in looking back, it stripped me a lot of my identity. Because prior to that, Nadine was very much out and about, doing all the things, very social. My social circle started to reduce. Again, we're in our 20s, so a lot of my friends, if they didn't have children, they were doing their careers, they were traveling, I was in my bubble, I was raising my sons, I had my daughter. Like, that period was a season of truly just being a mum. And that in itself can be very suffocating. And I think this is why I've come to a place of having distinctions between who I am and who Nadine is as a mother, because it's not synonymous. We're not the same. Although we can like interweave, Nadine is Nadine and mum is mum. Then going back to the preterm period, that was a very hard period. It was more confusing than it was dark, just because there was no medical resolve as to why it happened. So to this day, I still don't know why it happened. And that season, it was just challenging, because at that point, my children were old enough to understand that they lost their brothers. And it was having to explain to young children about death. And for my sons, they've experienced a lot of death, from like my grandparents passing, their granddad from their dad's side passing away, my auntie passing away, now their brothers are passing away. They were very, very young to be exposed to that much death. And because the death was within our house, it's different, because they were involved in the pregnancy, they were excited, they felt their brothers moving and all of that stuff. So to go from that to nothing to mum sad, and even if I wasn't looking sad, the energy was, I'm sad. Like, I would be very, very quiet for long periods of time, and I'm quite, as you can tell, chatty person. And there were just times I just didn't want to talk. Like, I didn't have words to say. I didn't want to talk to anybody. And it became confusing, because there was a duality of being grateful for being a mother to 3 children that are here, and having to juxtapose that with, but I lost 2 children that only I know, because nobody else technically got to experience them. I did. Like, I knew when they woke up, I knew what their habits were throughout the day, I knew little things. You know how it is when you're pregnant, I could eat a certain thing and I know the child's going to react in that way, or I'm going to lay on this side and it's not going to be comfortable for them, and all of that stuff. And then I had my youngest daughter, who's, how old is she now? She's 5. And she's like, it's weird, she's like the 2 boys, like she took whatever the essence was of them, and she's like, oh, you're gonna have all of us, because I've never experienced motherhood in this light. And I feel like, because my other 3 are older, clearly there's like a big gap between them now, I get to in some ways enjoy being a mother because I'm actively mothering. And I don't know if this might be something that people can comment on, when you have children that are very close together, it doesn't end. It just feels like there are diapers to change every minute. You're weaning them off something, you're trying to put them on something else, and then you're potty training one, and there's just lots of stuff happening. But with Aria, I've been able to like really witness, oh, she's growing, her curiosity. Don't get me wrong, we call her the feral one because she's just in everything, wants to do everything, wants to say everything, wants to know everything, wants to tell all your business to the world. But I've never had the opportunity to be actively involved in motherhood. I feel like in some ways prior to, although I'm doing the duties, there's an element of passivity almost. And even that's a weird contrast because in the dynamics of my relationship with their dad, I was basically the man and the woman. Like I was doing a lot of everything. And I think that is what kind of plays into being passive. So although I was very active in the doings of the task, in regards to the feelings of motherhood, it became passive. Like I know I'm a mum, but outside of that, I didn't know anything else. I couldn't grasp like, what did Nadine like to do? What was I doing before this? Then you have those questions of, when am I going to get my life back? Like, who taught me to have my children so close together? Like, I see people going on holiday and I'm just like, yeah, I have my children. And that's not to discredit my children because they are a blessing. And thankfully, I have amazing children. But when you're going through those seasons, it's just a bit like, oh, when is this going to end? Like, when are they going to get bigger? When are they going to be more independent? When? Do you know what I mean? And then there's an aspect of, I get to enjoy motherhood now because my other children are involved, so they can take some of the weight off. So now I can be a bit more of the Nadine at times and not necessarily have to be mum all day. I can be like, okay, it's 7 o'clock. That one's going to bed. Unless you've broken something, the house is on fire, you're bleeding. I don't exist to any of you. Leave me alone. I love you. But don't talk to me no more. Like, I think people forget that adults, like parents, we can also be overstimulated. It's not just children. There are times I don't want them to like, don't even breathe too close to me. Just leave me alone. But again, there's ebbs and flows that come with motherhood. So this is the season where I'm at now. I'm like, yes, I'm reclaiming back who I am. And I'm still waving the flag of being a mother, but I feel, instead of feeling strong, and I keep going back to this word, I feel empowered in what I'm doing. And I think there is a nuance in strength, like strong just to be strong, because you have to out of survival, and then feeling empowered because now you can start seeing seasons where you're thriving and stuff, and like your aspirations are coming back, and you're just feeling a bit like you're feeling yourself. You're in a season where you're like, oh, I still got it. I can still do this. So yeah, that is the book of Mothering by Nadine.
Do you know what? It's so funny. Like I was thinking, oh my God, Sabrina, you can't laugh. I'm laughing because you're speaking half my life. Like that concentration of raising like 3 kids is like you sort of got to one stage thinking, oh, okay, I should be out, but then you've got to go on to the next one.
Yeah.
You've just been in captivity.
Yeah, it's like graduating. It's like being at school and you're like, oh yeah, primary school's over, secondary school, and you're like, damn, there's more work. There's more stuff. Like they're asking me to do more things. It's meant to be easier. And then you get to college and you're like, yeah, I'm an adult. And it's like, yeah, but now I've got to pay to go to college. I need a job. I need resources.
I know you'll be speaking for many mums on that one. That one caught me. Like even when you mentioned the day, it was literally the year 2007. It's like, yeah, that's when my third child came along. And I'm like, yeah, I totally relate to that because it's just go, go, go. And I love what you pointed to because sometimes I think motherhood can leave you in a bit of a spiral, downhill spiral. But I love the way you kind of gave this picture. It isn't so much that there's just so much going on. There is no time. That like it's not even like, oh well, people say, well, you can allocate time. No, you don't understand. There is no time. I can't time bend. Like especially where you made the clear distinction around the relationship dynamics. A lot of mothers find themselves when it's sort of termed a married lone parent because you are the mother and the father. so that there is no time and saying, well, you should get some sleep, or you should do. I wish I could. Like, if you want to come over, we can work out what that will be. But I'm time bending right now, to the extent that I'm having to speed up to keep up, just to keep everything going. And I can't step away. I can't, go and take a nap. I have to do it when I can, because there is no time to play with.
There is no other time. Especially when you're thinking like logistically, school runs,
it's not
food shopping,
exactly.
like all of the stuff. And again, being in that mindset back then of, okay, but you're doing it. And I think sometimes it's like a lovely compliment when people are like, oh, but like, it's not even like you're trying. That compliment, now it irks me. It's kind of like a backhanded compliment in a way, because it's like, yeah, it's amazing. I make this look easy, not because I'm trying to, but because I have like a system, like my system works. But then it can give you like this false sense of, I can do anything. Yes. And the reality is, you can't. Just to burst anybody's bubble. Like, you're not created, like your body is not meant to do.
You're not supposed to. No, that's not how it's
like. This is why, especially now, you see so many people, like you said, talking about burnout, insomnia, mental health issues. This is because our bodies are like, what the heck are you doing? Like, I'm one vessel. I can't do all of these things. I can't be thinking about all of these things. We can't help all the people. We don't have all the suggestions. Like, sometimes I just need you to stop. And that's why we do get burnt out, because your body's just like, I've had enough, and it will just quit on you. So you can't do anything. Like, I'm not going to help you grind me into the ground. I can't cope. So as much as we do the whole congratulating mothers, parents, yes, that's amazing, because sometimes we do need to hear you're doing a great job. But when it's kind of packaged up in a way that gives you a false sense of like pride, ego, makes you feel like, yeah, I can do anything, and now you're upping on top of what you're just about managing to do, it can become very, very detrimental. So we have to be like truly aware of our capacities as mothers.
I'm so grateful for you adding that. I really am grateful, because I think there's this nuance of celebrating this toxicity of selflessness to the point of eradicating your system and everything that's, your mental health across the plane. And I think we need to be very mindful. And even when we're seeing, like you're saying, like mothers like speeding up, doing it, acting like an octopus hands, and we're celebrating that, I think it's actually very toxic. It's a bit similar to the term of, there was this kind of coined phrase around, I can't remember it word for word, but I think when I say it, you'll remember, with entrepreneurs, like, I don't need to sleep, I'll sleep when I'm dead. You will be dead soon.
Yeah.
The reality is, like, you can't.
Yeah, you're literally digging your plot for yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I'm very mindful, because when listening to you really takes me back to those early stages of motherhood, and realizing how fragile I was at that time, how exhausted I was at that time, how I just wanted someone to hold the baby so I could take a nap. I didn't know what sleep was. And someone coming in and just celebrating that, and you're like, I'm exhausted.
Yeah,
I actually don't want to be encouraged, like you're saying, just to go a bit more. I'm exhausted. I would love to just sleep standing up, and I did. You would just sleep anywhere. It was those moments. But the thing that I took heed of when you was responding was how much loss you experience in your 20s. Still being able to hold it for everyone. When you think about how you explained it, and then saying, well, but for your sons, it was the first time that they experienced death in the home, because they experienced, holding, touching your stomach, feeling their siblings. That's a very different experience to experiencing death, and very painful. But like you're saying, they were anticipating this arrival and having to explain it to them so young. So I honestly don't know how you had the courage to grow through what you grew through. And obviously you're here now, you can connect the dots looking back, but there's I love the way you make the distinction in being strong with empowerment. There is such empowerment from the way that you tell the story, because that's not an easy feat, to really deal with so much loss, keep the family going. And you had to remain quiet. I love what you're saying, is that you're very talkative, and I love talking, I love people. And once you shut down, it's a case that there's pain there, there's no process, and you're just lost for words. So if I can't articulate, I'm just going to say nothing for now.
And I think those are things that people should look out for as well. Whether that's family, friends, partners, like sometimes it's not the outward expression.
Yes.
If you really observe, or if you're really attuned with your partner or your spouse, you will know when something's up. And how you respond to that, and I say respond instead of react, how you respond to that can make all the difference. If you end up being silent, so say if it was a scenario of you've lost a child, you're going through your own grief as well. How are we observing each other in order to still hold space for each other, to come together, to grieve together? And that's something in both experiences, I personally don't feel like me and my ex-husband grieved together. So I carried a lot to get us over humps, because it was just one of those situations like, well, someone has to do it. The kids aren't going to do it. Do you get what I'm saying? Like, they're not going to do it. Someone has to do it. Okay, it looks like I'm the one that's going to have to do it then. And when you make those hard decisions, because your arm is becoming more and more hardened, you will tackle stuff that you have no business tackling, because you're like, and I feel like for me, losing a child is probably the worst pain I'll ever feel. And I get why people are like, it's the worst thing to bury your child. It should be it really should be the other way around. And it's like, since that experience, not much gets to me. I have to really care for something to get to me. And it's not because I'm like a callous woman or I'm bitter. It's just that when you experience certain pain, there's things that just don't come close. So my natural response would be either deal with it. I could be angry, but it takes a lot for me to get to that space of like, I'm sad. Like, I'm really, really sad, or I'm heartbroken, or like when you feel the ache of whatever that is. Because I've become accustomed to just like, okay, time to put the armor on, let's go, let's do this, ready to fight. Like, we're ready to fight what's out there, we'll get it done. Getting better at calling the troops though. That's one thing I can say. Like, the troops. I'll be doing my little Nadine shaped Spider-Man Batman logo in the sky. Like, people, rally up. Time to go.
No, Nadine, I want to acknowledge and honor you for speaking into something that's very painful. There is such a gift in what you've shared.
Oh.
I cannot thank you enough for the way you spoke into that, especially for mothers that are going to be listening to this, going through this. Because I think, you know, the whole, you know why I birthed this platform. And I know like there's something moved in me. I haven't experienced burying a child, and touch wood. And there was, as you were speaking, something moved in me that as a mother going through something like that, they needed to hear those words. And especially, you see, as mothers sometimes, I don't know if it's like that for you, but mothers I've spoken to or myself, is like when you find nuggets online and they speak the words you're trying to tell your family, your partner, like drag them to it. It's like, what?
Yeah. They get that the sent link. Listen to this.
Send them that reel.
Timestamp.
Right. I feel like that the moment that you shared here, where you spoke about the wisdom, is that how do you hold space together?
Yeah.
I think like that made me feel so emotional, because I've witnessed so many couples grieve separately. And just how can you hold space together? But also the message to friends and family that if you've got a very bubbly character around and you notice they just go quiet, say something, notice it, offer some level of support. So I really thank you for speaking into that. Absolutely.
And it's also important as well, to the person going through it, it's like you're more susceptible to plant those seeds of offense in yourself. Sometimes we also have to be mindful that some people don't react to us or respond to us because they don't know how. So for me, being the strong one and all the things and social and come, let's play some music and dance and do all the stuff, when I go into periods where I'm just like, I'm not about it, I don't want to talk to anybody, nobody on text me, my phone's on do not disturb till further notice, like, I'll check in with you guys soon. Like, I promise you, I'm not going to hurt myself or anything, but I just don't want to be around nobody. They may not know how to handle that.
It's true.
Because it's such a complete, like, mask being torn off. And like, hold on, what in the Scooby-Doo? Like, who is this person? Who are you? Like, how do I help this person? You're the one that usually helps us. Like, we're not used to having to help you. Like, what do we do with all of this? And I think this is why, going back to your initial question, like, it's really important that we train ourselves how to be vocal in our vulnerability. Because if we can't articulate it, people aren't going to know how to help you. And those that do help you might not help you in the way that you want. And that can also lead you to being offended because you're like, I didn't ask for that. I didn't ask for you to come to my house and cook. Like, that's not what I want. I might want you to actually take the child. So like you said, I can go to sleep because I feel like I'm delirious right now. I'm operation delusional is where I'm at. So it works both ways. And even in that aspect, that is a part of grieving together, growing together, understanding each other, regardless of what the relationship dynamic is. Yeah, you have to learn how to become aware of what your needs are so that you can articulate it and get the support that matches the needs that you have.
Oh, do you know, I don't know how you managed to do this, but it's happened very organically. Although I was mentioning about that, share that link, I need someone else to say it to, it's actually a really nice teachable moment for the person on the other side. They actually listen to that piece. I've listened to this, listen to that.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't want to help you. It's not that I don't want to hold space. I actually don't know how.
I don't know how.
I'm used to you. You've always done it. And now you're not doing it. I'm out of practice. Help me, guide me. Like, I want to show up for you, but I just don't know. And I'm quite scared because sometimes it can make someone freeze like a deer in headlights. In that sense that, you know, my hero is down. And it's like, what do I do? Like, what do I actually do for you? Because you've always been that strong, present, grounded, and I don't know how to be that. So thank you so much. I don't know how you pulled that out of the hat, but well done. It's brilliant. Next question is, can you describe a time when you felt unseen and unsupported as a mother?
Again, it would most likely go back to the loss of the boys in the sense of, and this is external stuff, this isn't like familial, because by the grace of God, my family they were on job. Even when they didn't know what they were doing, they were still on job. But I would say external stuff in regards to just like hospital care, what comes after that, having a good like medical care team, things like Tommy's and stuff, like having access to the resources. I feel like now we have more, especially with like the Black maternal death rate and all of that stuff. We've become more aware of like, oh, we do have stuff that's for us. We do have people who can reach out to. Back then it was probably the same, but I wasn't aware of it because I've never had to experience it. I didn't know a lot of people that have lost children, not out of choice. I know people that have had abortions, but I didn't really know a lot of people that have like naturally miscarried their children. And it's not to say that they haven't, but they obviously just didn't express it because maybe they didn't have spaces where they felt safe to do so. So back then it was isolating because it was like, okay, like now what? Especially when you look at leaflets and it's white families. Okay, I'm Black. Like I don't want to be sitting in a room, and again, race shouldn't come into it, but real is real. I'm not going to feel 100% comfortable sitting in a room with predominantly white women talking about my experience when I know that my experience was different to yours. I know there's more chance that you asked for your epidural and they gave it to you. And I asked and there was just like, no, you're doing fine. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, your experience might have been they rushed you straight to get your C-section. And say with my oldest son, I ended up having an emergency C-section because the I think at the time they called them the registrars. I don't know if they do it now. Maybe I'm making it up. Wherever the guy was that was meant to do the surgery, he kept putting it off. And it irritated me because he was a Black man. And my son's heart rate kept dropping. And they were like, no, he's just leaning on the umbilical cord. And it got to the point I was like, this is happening too many times. Like, I can feel there's barely any water left in my body. Like, you could see his little like footprint. I said no. And it was a receptionist. I wish I could remember her name. It was a receptionist that was like, I'm going to call them because I didn't have a comfortable sleep because this was quite early in the morning. And I was just anxious because I'm like, what is going on? And to hear the machine keep going off every time his heart rate would drop, and then being rushed in, then having a C-section. It's like,
it's too much.
Things like that. I pray you didn't have that experience, but I just feel like the likelihood is you didn't, because you were being catered to in a different way to how I was being catered to. And it works both ways, because I've had, not run-ins with anybody, but I have had incidences with some of the aunties that are nurses. I'll put it like that, and they're just like, get on with it.
True.
And it's like, the reason why I'm in hospital is because I don't want to just get on with it. Like, I want the painkillers. I want whatever it is you're going to give me. Like, can I have some, please? And I think those things can make you become very distrusting in those spaces. Now, it's not to say that everybody that works in a hospital just doesn't care because of the color of your skin, but it means that that stuff happens, and we live life through our experiences. So if you're not having the best experience, you don't have anything other to compare it to in your life. Like, you can compare it to your friends, your mums, your aunts, whoever, but that still wasn't my experience. And because of that, now I have this type of lens that I look through when it comes to certain things. So I feel as though it's been in those moments, in aspects where I have no control, so to speak, that I felt less of being viewed as a mum. Like, those things, just little like microaggressive things, I would say, have made me be like, really? Even down to things like, when I had my eldest daughter, you go through like your routine checks and stuff, and they're like, okay, do you have any siblings? Da, 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 da. And I would always get asked things like, the same father that you're, and I'm just like, why would you assume
They
that?
asked you that?
Yeah. Or because, and I don't know if because my face, I look young, so they're just like, oh, she's probably a little teenage girl that's just out here like having lots of kids. I've had them being very prone to make sure they ask me about, are you in contact with like social services? And it's just like, wow, you not just really think we're just out here like gremlins pouring water on ourselves and just multiplying everywhere. It's like, no, they're all for the same father, thank you very much, and please. And no, we don't have social services involved in our household. Like, yeah, those things really rubbed me the wrong way and made me feel like I'm doing the same thing as Zoe over there.
No. You know,
And your presumptions make it otherwise.
do you know, again, I'm really grateful for you being so open. And I think you'll speak for a lot of mothers. Unfortunately, and it really is unfortunate, that this is not the first time I'm hearing of horror stories during pregnancy, you know, during labour. But the asking you about social services, and that's a new one for me. That is very new.
Yeah, you can go to the emergency room. I get certain things like, yeah, you have to check protocol, but there's times where it's like the tone in which things are said, you can kind of tell, like, okay.
You know, like,
Okay.
I really get upset when people say, well, you might have misunderstood. No, I know. I've been
you can tell the difference.
I know the difference. You know, we know those little nuances.
Yeah.
But no, I'm really grateful that you spoke into that, because these are real experiences. And even you apologizing about wanting the relatability and culture aspect, I don't think you have anything to apologize for, because the reality is, if we're culturally different, it's going to cause an issue with how our belief systems, our values. And you know, I might be saying something like, oh, it's okay, well, you know, you can swing off the chandeliers, and you're like, whoa, culturally we don't do that. So there's, there's nuances that are going to make a big difference. So I think it's important to be in those spaces where there's a little bit of relatability when
there has to be.
There have to be.
Literally, there has to be.
Exactly. So the next question is, thanks for that though. The next question is, what has been the most rewarding aspect of motherhood?
It's always my go-to because it's the truth. I just like seeing my children get older. I do. And I think some of it comes from, as well, when you lose a child. There's times I think, like, so in my family, if one person's pregnant from my mum's side, one person's pregnant, guarantee another two people are pregnant. So as soon as we hear, we're all looking at each other like, don't touch me. I'm not drinking from your cup. It's not me. I know it's not me. And when I lost both of the boys, technically, my cousin and my male cousin's partner, we were all pregnant. So when I see their children, I'm like, oh, the boys would have been that old. And you just naturally do it. I don't feel like it's something I do on purpose, but there's times we could be at a family occasion. I'm just like, oh, like Ren could have been like running around doing his thing. So when I get to see my lot just doing up life, as much as they may get on my last nerves on certain days, I'm just like, oh, look at them getting big. Especially like my eldest son, with his whole stint with having cancer. When you see children in the ward, there was one girl in particular, I'll never forget it. I ended up going to the department store in Brixton, Morley's, and we just bumped into each other. I was like, oh my God, how's your daughter doing? And she was like, oh, she passed away.
Oh.
Now, my son and her daughter would play together in the little, so you stay at the hospital sometimes when they're having their treatment and stuff, so they have like the little playrooms that you can go to and they put in little shows, and they would be together. And it was weird because it was like I was so sad that she lost her child and she was so happy to see that Leo was still here.
Yeah.
So when I see him now, big 18, muscles and chest and out here in the gym doing all the things, I'm like, you're here. Like you literally may not have been here. So the fact that you got to like 3-4 and kind of been in remission ever since, it's like, wow, like I get to see you grow. Like I've actually gotten to see you be an adult by law. Yes. And I say by law because they think they're adults and they're not. Sorry for another day. So by law you're an adult and I've gotten to see it. And then just seeing how different each of them are. Like obviously your children have their own personalities from within the womb. They're all different.
They do.
But just seeing like the parts of them that are me and the parts of me that are them. And I think it's that saying of like getting to watch your heartbeats outside of yourself. I'm like, wow, look, like you guys are, yeah, we did good. Like regardless of the demise of the relationship, you guys are something I can say, yeah, we got you right. Like you guys are amazing. So that's the most rewarding thing.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
You know what I love, how you painted this beautiful picture in that sometimes in order for us to be fully present, fully grateful, fully in love with the present, we had to experience a form of loss.
Yeah.
For us to truly understand the value of what we have.
Yeah.
Like you said, burying 2 children meant that when you looked at your children, you looked at them different. You showed up different as a mother. That's how you described it in your previous question, but in response to this specific response, you said, knowing that your son and this just unfortunately the little girl at the time transitioned, the mother was happy that your son made it through and you were sad for her. So it's this bittersweet exchange of you were sad for her loss, but then obviously grateful for the presence of your son and being like in remission since she was 3, 4, and now 18. You know, I know as a mum, you go around and you're like squishing them and you're a man, like you're grown. Yeah. No one will ever know the weight of what that is because of you had to experience the loss. Yeah. It's a total.
And the thing is, we kind of have temporary, they're not harsh losses. Like every time your child gets older, it's like, oh, you're not 10 anymore. Yeah. Oh, I remember when you was in your nappy, you're not in your nappy anymore. Now you have aftershave and like this thing and that thing. So there's always parts of you that kind of like mourn that old version of them. Just like how we kind of mourn for ourselves as well. Like I'm not the same person I was at 35, now at 42. But we're able, because it's not like tragic loss, we're able to be more grateful and be more thankful for what's happened. So I feel like it'll probably only get better when they have their children. And I'm like, oh my God, you're a dad, you're a mom. Oh, that's your turn. Oh
my God. Oh God, like, that's not me.
Yeah, it'll probably be more rewarding them. And I'm just like, oh my God, like this is you outside of you now. Like I get to see a completely different version of a part of you that you might not even know existed.
Oh God, I can't. Oh, God bless us with that long, like many multiple
Yeah, like
children. That is
I get sometimes when my mom's like, oh, I love my grandchildren so much, and I'm just thinking,
That's
I know you do. But she probably had a thing of just like, wow, I get to see my children have their children, and now she's technically in a season where she could start having some great grandchildren, like at some point. So
not long
just
now.
being able to see the generations, it's like, wow, that in itself is an accomplishment.
That's a beautiful blessing. Really love that. God, I can't stop smiling now.
You're gonna look at them and be like, come to me. Let me hug you.
Oh God, Nadine, you're doing it again. What advice would you have given to your younger self about, like, before becoming a mother?
Two things. The first thing is, it's okay that you don't know what you're doing. You're never gonna know what you're doing. And I think that's something you learn at time. When you have children, you're so zealous for the fact that you have a child, and you just like, oh my God, I want to do all the things with you, and you're so amazing. Look at your body, like I'm gonna keep you alive forever and ever, like a real life Tamagotchi or something. Like I'm gonna feed you, I'm gonna clothe you, I'm gonna do all the things. Reality kicks in, you're just like, oh, motherhood.
Oh, that's so
Have kids, they said. It's funny as they said. Like you go through those periods. But I've also learned because of that, like, just like I was saying before, yes, we mourn the old versions of themselves, but I don't know. I know who they were, but I don't know who they're going to be. So, like, when my oldest was, say, 7, I didn't know what he was going to be at 18. Like, you can hope that they're going to be this, that, and that. And when we do that, we only think like generic. Oh, I hope they're healthy. I hope they're like a good person. I hope they treat people well. But in regards to character,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what you're going to be like. You could be a horrible person at 18. Like, your hormones could start doing something. And I'm just like, I don't want to be around you. Like, I actually don't like you as a person. I love you as my son. I don't like you as as a person. I don't know how to deal with that because it hasn't happened. Like, so in that sense, like you're just not gonna know, and that's fine. And I think it works both ways. It's the same for them as well. Like, they don't know how mum at 42 is going to be when she's 50, because I might just be like, I'm 50, you lot are big enough, bye. Like, you could be living at home as much as you want. I'm going on that cruise, I'm going on that 15-day night or whatever holiday. They don't know either, so we're both having to learn with no manual, technically. And even though I know for those of us that are believers, like, our Bible is the manual, but even that, it still doesn't tell you about the day-to-day. Like, it tells you how the framework, but it doesn't tell you how that person is going to be. Because just as you're trying to figure them out, they're also trying to figure themselves out, and vice versa. So yeah, it's okay that you don't know everything. And the second one would be is that you've got this. Because even though you don't know, it's amazing how you figure it out. You find a way to get stuff done. You find a way how to navigate the feelings. You find a way to get through puberty and teething and potty training and weaning onto food and new schools and new friend circle. Like, you figure all of that out. And some of it you have to do by yourself because, again, you're the authority figure, you're the parent. So you should kind of try to be ahead of your child, but you're also learning it alongside them because, again, neither of us know how this is going to unfold. We're just out here just doing what we're doing and kind of just hoping that it makes sense. We're hoping that all the puzzle pieces are going to fit together once we're done, but right about now we're kind of just scrambling around looking for the pieces. We know what the image is, but where's the piece? Do you know what I mean?
Do you know when you go to IKEA, there's like all the pieces are there. It's like, oh no, there's
Yeah, you're just turning the instructions around like, like, what's H? Where's the H one?
Do you know what I love in your response, your first one, a real life Tamagotchi? I think that you cannot put it better than that.
Yeah.
I think it's so
I
brilliant.
used to love my Tamagotchi.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly why it was so. I was like, yes, I remember that. But I love it, the fact that you're still echoing, give yourself grace.
Yeah.
One of the things I really, really want to highlight that I love that you spoke into for our mums is you don't know who they're going to be at 18 when they're 7.
Mm-hmm.
And character-wise, I really love the distinction, and it's a teachable moment, even if you've not experienced it yet, in that you might love your daughter, you might love your son, but you might not like the character that they're choosing to exude at that moment. Because I think there's something so important about what you said, and I just want to just give it the grace it deserves, in that I meet a lot of parents that are, number one, either judged or beat up themselves for how their child turned out. Because people have this assumption that children will just be a reflection of the home or where the environment they've grown in. Well, that's true some cases, but it's also not true in some cases. Sometimes the parents have gone above and beyond to do their best, and that child just doesn't like. I've had a child actually say to me, a teenager said, the reason I mess up is that my parents are too nice to me, and I think they're pushovers. And I was mortified that they actually didn't like that their parents showed up, had the rules, and did what they could, but they weren't as aggressive as they needed to be like others. And I just thought, we've got to kind of get the balance now. Parents are going through hell, and they've done their best, they've poured, they've got beautiful social network, but the child just doesn't want to reason.
And this is why it's important that we have good dialogue with our children. Like, we have to be, and yes, they don't have to know everything, because there's a time and a place. Like, something you might not need to know now at 18, but you might need to know it when you're like 40. But today's not the day. It's a thing of, and obviously I don't know that household's dynamic, but it makes me question, how comfortable was that child in expressing how they felt that they needed more? It could have been more discipline, more boundaries, more firmness. And having a conversation with the parents to find out why they believe that they have to be so nice to the child. What happened? Like, how was your upbringing? Was your upbringing really horrible? And he's like, I'm going to do the complete opposite. So I'm never going to be horrible to my child. Like, we have to be willing to explore each other's histories. We all have history.
That's where the clues will be, yes.
Yeah, and I think we live in an age where we're more inclined to go on TikTok than to ask our parent.
It's true, 100%.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, okay. I don't know, it could be a conversation about sex. Oh, I'm going to look at my favourite influencers' opinions on sex. And that's what it is, it's an opinion. Based on their experiences about sex.
Absolutely. And that tends to be the issue.
Yeah, and it's like, you could have more in common with your mum, who, it's uncomfortable. Do we really want to talk to our mums about? Probably not. But your mum might have a history where she's like, I dated this one guy and this is what happened, and I just wish I didn't entertain it. I wish I didn't pour into it too much. And then, I don't know, things may have been different. Obviously, everything happens for a reason. But if I could edit some stuff, I might have edited that. Now, I also think there's an aspect as well where, just like you said, yes, we love our children. You should love your child. You love your children, but you might not like their character. We also have to understand, yes, it's not a reflection of how we have raised them, because you could be doing everything how it needs to be done. Just like you, though, your child has free will. So based on the choices that they want to make, it can eradicate, or it can really amplify how good you were being as a parent. And I agree. I think sometimes as parents, we get the short end of the stick, because it's like, well, you should have done better.
Yes.
And I feel like for me, especially with the writing stuff, the reason why, so all my journals, I've got the majority of them for years. So at some point, my children will know everything about my insides and my outsides. Like, because my dad was illiterate and he came over from Jamaica, and I didn't know my dad was illiterate till my mum told me, because my dad learned how to copy. So he couldn't write as in like he would know what he's writing, but he learned like certain things, like if he wanted to do like the pools back in the day, he would know write the horses' names down and stuff, and you would never know that he didn't know how to read and write.
Wow.
But when he passed away, it was a very quick turnaround from us finding out it was stage 4 and then him passing away. And it's only after that, the relationship between me and my siblings, we were always quite close, but we became very knitted with each other now, especially with our mum, because you really start to understand, like, oh my gosh, I've lost one parent. I only got one now. I want to make sure. And it prompted me to start asking my mum questions about her upbringing. Now, things I've heard in the past, like in passing and just odd conversation. But I remember one time we had a good, like 2, almost 3 hour discussion, and it happened quite randomly. It's not even like I went there with the intention to do like investigative. I'm putting my phone on record to answer my questions. But through doing that, I learned more about my mum in that 3 hours than I had in probably all of my life. And understanding, because we would joke and say that my life kind of mirrors my mum's life, which is really, really weird. Well, it's not weird because they do say you kind of carry on stuff from in the room. So during her period where she had me, some things for me now kind of make sense. I'm like, oh, this is why I am the way I am. This is why I'm the one that's more like you, because sometimes it gives all my life I had to fight. Like, and it made me think, how can I get my children to know who I am without always having to sit down and have a conversation with them about it? And I was like, I like writing, I like journaling. I'm just going to keep my journals, because I would write in a journal, I'd chuck it. And I was like, no, I'm going to keep it, because when I go, I would love for them to sit down and they will know everything. They will know me as Nadine. They only know me technically as their mom. Now they're getting older, they're kind of getting to see glimpses of Nadine, because when you're at age, you can have a little bit of banter, like you got your little inside jokes. But the story of Nadine, the history of Nadine, they will find in all of my journals, because I would never want them to end up questioning or not fully understanding why certain things were what they were. Why did mum make that decision? Especially if it's something that impacted them in a way that could have been negative. I want you to understand where my head was, where my heart was during that season, and this is why I believe that was the best thing to do. Now, whether they agree with that is a completely different thing, but I think on both sides of the coin, we forget how to humanize our children, and children forget how to humanize their parents. They see us as authority figures and nothing else. We see them as our little inferior beings that we keep alive and we just love them to death. But we forget that it's okay for that child to be sad, even though I might have been taught you're not meant to be sad, you get on with stuff, like fix your lip, wipe your face, go back outside and play, or I'm going to tell you to come back inside and you don't do nothing. Do you know what I'm saying? Those sorts of mentalities. And they might need you to see the human in them, and that could be the difference. So maybe in the dynamic you were talking about, maybe the child acts out because there's part of that child that's like, I want you to see me. So because I feel like you don't, I'm just going to do whatever I want, and you're going to see me that way, because it has more of an impact. It gets to you more.
Spoken to that.
Do you know what I mean? So yeah, I think definitely that, have to speak. Literally just speak.
Yes, I'm so glad you said that. And also the added factor that a lot of parents are going through, you touched on it, is the influence of society. Schools are different now. Before it was like a community, they would interact with their parents. Very much schools are like, you don't have to listen to your parents. Then you've got the added factor of going on social media, as you correctly said. So there's so many different factors, but all the comments about the 80s children, yeah, that was a bit too much. That was real.
Yeah. If you're from the 80s, then you know exactly what that meant.
Yeah, that explains everything. Thank you so much for that, Nadine. Next question is, how do you balance the emotional weight of being a mother whilst pursuing your own dreams and aspirations?
It's been a lot of reclaiming stuff, and it's only, I feel like, and everybody's different. So for me, I found it very hard to be a mum to young children and do all the things. With that said, for most people, they will be like, Nadine, you did a lot of things. But in my mind, I'm like, I was doing stuff I was interested in. So for example, I wanted to be a teacher, funnily enough, and then I realized I can't work for the schools. I can't. I'm ending up in jail. It's not worth it. God said I'm gonna help you teach in a different way, because yeah, working in a school, I can't. Especially now.
Now, exactly. The factor is now.
Especially now. It's not my portion. And Kalia was a baby, so I had to do extra courses so I could get credits to go to university. Then I did my undergrad, and people were like, oh my God, again, my little baby face. Oh my God, you got 3 children, like, and you're going to university full time. I'm like, yeah, because I got to provide for these kids. So if I can do something that's going to help me like learn more, then I'm going to do it. And I did that. And then I started my master's, and it was in my first year of my master's that I lost both of the boys. That just before I started, I lost the boys. So I had my interview when I was pregnant with Shakur, And then that August, I lost him, and then I started my master's degree. And then I lost Rome at the end of my undergrad. So I ended up doing like therapy at the university for a couple sessions because they were like, "Oh, just defer, like it's fine, this is," and I was like,
"Yeah, you have to hold on to that."
I was like, "No," I was like, in my head, I kept saying to myself, "I'm Rome's mom. Rome's mom is not going to not do her degree. Like, like for me, he wouldn't want me to do that, and I feel like it's those things that help me see it as triumph because." If I didn't have that way of thinking, or that way of thinking wasn't put on me in some way, shape, or form, I would have deferred and I probably wouldn't have gone back. That just mean that whatever.
Motherhood would have taken over life.
Yeah, so I was just like, heck to the no. I'm getting my degree, thank you very much. Well, and it shocked a lot of people. So that's why I say, like, yeah, I haven't done a lot, but I kind of have done a lot. But where I'm at now with like trying to have businesses and like learning how to do that, it's almost like I'm swapping out human mothering for like entrepreneurial mothering and learning how to mother in a different way because it'd be hard. Don't having a business it's not for the faint-hearted. But now I'm afforded the time to do it because my kids are older. And I think because I can hand on heart say no, that I inspire my children, they are very big cheerleaders for when I try to do stuff. So it motivates me to keep doing it. So now it's not like, oh, I'm just doing it because I want to do it. It's like, no, I'm doing this because hopefully I can leave this to you guys and you guys can just do what you want to do with it. But it also shows them endurance, it shows them resilience, it shows them like, no, you can, I want you to follow things that you want to do, even if it doesn't work out. Like, you don't even have to be successful at it, but just seeing you doing what you aspire to do is a reward in itself because you're giving yourself an opportunity and you've started to believe in yourself in a way where you're like, do you know what, I'm gonna risk it for a chocolate biscuit and do it. Like, I'm gonna do it. And I want them to be like, yeah, I can do it because my mum did it, especially my daughters. Like, I can do this because my mum did it.
Yeah.
And see all the highs and lows that come with it because there's times they're just like, Mum, come out the office. Mum, close your laptop, because they've seen me get very, very irritable and just be like, I don't want to do this no more. This is nonsense. And just seeing them being like, but you're so good at it. Like, why would you not do it? And I'm like, okay, I'll keep doing it. Like, that's what allows for me to I don't even want to say juggle because that sounds stressful, but I manage both of these things, and I feel like I'm in a season where I'm more accepting of doing both, because before it was one or the other. I just thought you can't do both.
You know, there's just like this zen energy from you. Just listening, I was just like, oh, I've got to say something now. I love how you talk about revealing to your children the true nature of the ups and downs. Like, you don't like tidy yourself up in the office before coming out and just like, oh, brilliant, had a good day.
No.
And I love the real essence of actually just saying, I want to be a role model for my daughters in particular. You know, they can be your cheerleaders. They're on the journey with you. But there's so much that you've shared, that the choices you've actively made in your own life, you're very in tune with the fact of what are they seeing.
Yeah.
And that sort of theme from you is that, like, what are they seeing? Like, I know that I have to keep going, but to think that you lost your child, one at the end of the degree and within masters, that puts a lot of context and perspective onto what you've done. You've definitely achieved a lot, definitely. The tip of the iceberg, considering. And then you're saying, you said your father also transitioned around that period as well. Like, so much going on, but you were able to still keep going. Like, I'm speechless. It's absolutely just. But I love how you took the empowering essence from it. I really love how you're like, I'm here now. I get a choice. I go forward or I stop. But I know that if I keep going, I'm getting closer to my desired outcome.
My thing is, there's always beauty in darkness. Like, even if there's darkness, that means that light is there somewhere. Yeah. You can't have darkness without light. So even if it means you have to search in, like, you literally have to be like the 3 blind mice, just like staggering about, trying to figure out where the light source is going to come from. It's still like, my thing is, it's still there.
Yeah. And there's
So,
you reminded me of, actually, if you're in a dark place and you're looking for the light, pause, because perhaps you're the light. And you seem to have been that light in the moments.
yeah.
It's really brought the light in, and it came through you. And who you are today as a result of everything you chose to just go and grow through, it's a testament to your character. Truly is. Like, I'm so, yeah, just, hats off to you. Give you your roses. Definitely. Was you going to say something? Sorry.
No.
You're incredible, Nadine. Honestly, absolutely incredible. So, next question is, what lesson, can you share a lesson that you've learned from your own mother or a mother figure that has shaped how you parent today?
My mum, and I feel like it's part of her strength traits. My mum is very much, she just says what she's saying. Like, that's my mum. Doesn't, like, good, bad, and indifferent. I feel like over time she's started to learn, and I think maybe because us as children have gotten older, so we kind of pull her up a little bit now because we can, within reason, because she's still very much like, we know the levels that we can go to. But my mum is a straight talker. Like, she just says it how it is. I think it's so amazing because she's always been like that. It's not even like when she got to a certain age, she just became very, like, my mum is vocal. Like, that is her default setting. You're gonna know how I'm feeling. And there's times where she's like, and that's your business how you feel about it. Like, I know that I said what I needed to say. I know what you're gonna do with that, but I feel better. Do you know what I mean? And yes, there has to be a level of tact to it, but I just think that's such a, like, badass trait to have, to just be like, yeah, this is what it is. And that's with good things or bad things. That's whether she's pulling you up on something or she's like celebrating something. She's just very expressive in that way. And I think out of my siblings, we joke, I look like my dad, but I'm my mum's child. Like, when it comes to stuff like that, like, I am my mother. And this is why we kind of used to clash. Her thing with me was very much, why is it when I say A, you have to say B? That was the running. And the gag is, I use that with my daughter as well, because my eldest daughter, yeah, she's kind of me. So my mum thinks it's hilarious. She's like, oh, fun, innit? Great times ahead. But yeah, just being unapologetic and unashamed in, like, this is how I feel in this moment. And even if I have to end up apologizing, I just feel like it's great that she's not afraid to say it. I think there's times where, yeah, just because you think it doesn't mean you have to say it. Like, maybe think about what you're about to say, or say it in a way that's not like packaged up in cotton, but might not be as rough around the edges as I know you're gonna say it. But I just believe that because of that, it has helped me to be vocal when I was younger. But I think in my womanhood, always been a woman, but I feel like now I've been in my 40s, the womanhood has kicked in full effect. I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna say what it is. Sometimes I might have to deal with the consequences afterwards, and I'm very aware of that. But I'm just like, I'm not gonna die if I say it, so might as well just chuck it out there, see what happens.
That's so funny. Oh, I love that. That the answer is so beautiful. But I think some of the things that stand out is that I look like my father, but I am my mother's child.
Yeah. Oh.
Now, like, you're at it. Like, the mouse the same level, your character's the same level, and then your daughter coming through, like your older daughter, is like, okay, it's interesting.
Yeah. She was like, oh, get ready. My little one, she's not that far behind. She definitely how she feels.
Oh, I love it. That's beautiful. Thanks for sharing that with us, Nadine. Next question is, how I'm struggling. I really am struggling. How do you define success as a mother?
Outside of keeping them alive is what I'm thinking. Outside of making sure that they're still alive by the end of the
Well,
day.
it feels like it should be a thing, you know, us mums going around like, well done, you kept them alive, they made him.
And I say that to people sometimes when they're like, oh, how's your day been? How's the kids? I'm like, well, they're alive, so they're good. I haven't had to lock them away in the cupboard, so they're fine. Oh, I would just say it's how the fact that I do have a good relationship with them, even though we have our moments. I do have a really good relationship with the kids. But I think it's ultimately how like grateful they are for me, not to sound egotistical, because that might be like, you're dealing with your mum's mouth right now. But I feel like it's that thing of the fact that they're proud of me, like they're not ashamed to be with me. I can still go out with my 18-year-old. Like we recently went to go and see the F1 film. I wanted to go with my youngest son, who's like the epitome of an introvert, and he was just like, no, I just want to stay at home. And I felt a little bit sad because I was like, oh, like I haven't done stuff with you in ages. Like it would have been nice to go out. And then my eldest son was like, do you want to go and watch it? And I was like, yeah. Because I'm obsessed. I need them to come up with the season 8 or whatever it is of the F1 on Netflix. I became obsessed with that show. Yeah, so when I saw the F1 film came out, I was like, what? I have to see it. And then he was like, yeah. He's like, okay, I'll get us tickets. Oh, and we'll go. And he was also excited to go because he's like, we haven't been out on a mum Sunday in ages. Like the last film we saw was Oppenheimer, and I was like, I know. He was like, yeah, we'll go. And we had such a good time. And I'm just like, you want to be seen with me in public, and that makes me happy. Because it could be the other way around where you're just like, leave me alone. No, why are you even talking to me? Why are you in my room? Like, I would hate to have that relationship. So the fact that I'm awarded with children at this phase in their life where they're just like, even if they don't think I'm cool sometimes, you still want to be around me. Yeah. You still want to talk to me. You still want to, even when you're asking me stuff that is like basic common sense and you know it's going to drive you mad because common sense is free, the fact you still want to ask me, there's a little part of me that's like, you care either what I think or you want to make sure you've got it right. And yeah, I don't think you can get that anywhere else, to be honest with you. It's kind of similar for like when you choose your person, like you like that feeling like they've chosen you. I like that my children like still choose me as their mum. Like they haven't wanted to get to a point of just disregarding me and being like, oh, she's talking, she's breathing again. Like, oh, was it Kevin Perry, Harry Emperor? Like, oh, like just like sulking and like caveman knuckles on the floor. They're very much like, oh yeah, let's listen to this song, or little things like hearing my son play R&B for the first time. Like I think he came up from the gym and he was playing like Tevin Campbell, Can We Talk? And I was like, what do you know about you? Exactly. And he was singing the song. It was so cute because he was singing a song and I didn't think he knew I was awake. And I said, hold on now. Firstly, I don't believe you're old enough to be listening to tunes like this because they can have repercussions that I ain't trying to face right now. So I need you to ease up on the love songs. Bring it on back. But I'm like, you know that because I know that. Oh, and you hear me playing songs. Like, do you know what I mean? It's just little things I don't realize how much you impart on your children. So that when I see stuff that I'm like, oh, you like me. That's what it is. I know you love me, but I'm like, oh, you actually like me. Okay, this is great.
I love that. You're making me laugh so much because I like this is like, yeah, tone it down, change that song. Why are you listening to all those songs? But
yeah, no. Relatable. Yeah, because I know what those songs used to do to me, so you ain't got no business listening to that. You change it.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you so much. If you could rewrite any part of your motherhood journey, what would it be?
One weird thing is if I could have my same children but a little bit further apart, then maybe that would be an option. However, I do like the dynamic of how they are. And I like that they kind of have built-in friends because they're close together in age. I would say maybe be kinder to myself throughout the process. It kind of reverts back to grace, but yeah, I'm just like, just be nicer to yourself. And I think some of that comes from when you're a mum and you feel like you've lost yourself in the midst of motherhood. For me personally, I don't think I was as kind to myself as I could be. And that could be like the superficial stuff of I just let myself go, like jogging bottoms and a t-shirt with my best friend for a period of my life. I was just like, I just need to get through the day. Like as long as they're good, I'll figure it out later.
Just need to get
but I also think it's things like, no, you should have rested more. Like for all the mothers that hear sleeping, your child is sleeping, I beg you go sleep.
You know what? Thank you for saying that. Yeah,
go to sleep.
The kids are down. I'm going to tidy up. Go to sleep.
No, and even if you're not tired, just go and lay down. Like the hour they're sleeping, the hour they're not sucking on your sore nipple, you could be watching your program, you could be reading your book, you could be drinking your coffee or whatever in silence. Like just have your moment. And I feel like the last thing I would say is maybe hone in on those microscopic moments that we take for granted. I think sometimes you think about the big milestones of like, oh, they walked, oh, like their first tooth. But little things like the first time they held your finger when they were a baby. Do you know what I mean? Like, I wish I paid like more. I probably have a picture, knowing me. I probably took some sort of picture of it. But having those stored in my head more than like big milestones. Like, yeah, like starting school, but then also not the fact that you started school, but maybe the conversation we were having as we were walking to the school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like stuff like that, I would love to not necessarily rewrite, but write into the story. Yeah, I think we take those kind of things for granted, and we just sometimes, and I think maybe losing a child shifts my perspective a little bit, but we just think everyone's going to be here forever on certain days. And because of that, we don't take in every moment. And I think, especially as they get older, because of the world we're living in, still have that same space in your heart for them. Just because they're adults, it doesn't mean it should change. When we've got things like knife crime, gun violence, gang violence, all of that stuff, like even my son going out with my boys going out with their friends or going to the gym, or my daughter going out. There's times as much as I want you to come out my house and come out my face, there's a point where I'm just like, I need you to come home now, though. Like until you don't live with me no more, like I need to know that you're home. So there could be times I am knackered, but I need to hear my son's key come through the door just so I can go to sleep to be like, okay, he's home. He doesn't even have to say anything to me. I just know that he's home. I can go to sleep now, because I fear like getting a phone call. I fear waking up and one of them's not here, but he should have been here ages ago, because I was like, oh, but they're old enough now, I'm just going to go to my bed. And this isn't to instill fear into anybody and be like, you should be on high alert all the time. But I like the fact that if my son goes out or he comes back in, he still wants to give me a kiss on the cheek. He still wants to like give me a little dap dap, and like we keep it going. Or that they still want to be like, oh, hi, mum, I'm back now. Like those little things make all the difference, because it could just be you come home and you go straight in your room and I never see you until the next day. I don't know what's going on in your life. I don't know what's happening. So savoring periods that may seem insignificant could be the things that you would hold on to, God forbid anything happened.
I'm really glad you spoke into that, because that's a real reality for parents. It's a reality for young people, and it's a reality in the climate that we're raising children in now. It's very different. The worries that parents used to have before are very different to the ones we have now. And I love that, the gift of having their relationship and the communication being open. But I also like the way you described that as they're adults, still being present. You know, the job isn't done, you know, when they get to 16, 17, you're like, you go off with your life. And Thank you so much, Nadine, for your responses. I always get so much wisdom from it. So the next question I have is, how has societal and cultural pressures influenced the way that you approach motherhood?
I think some of it is that old school mentality, not necessarily what I was brought up with. I think it was just like a general consensus that being a person of color and then being a woman of color, you have to do things twice as hard. You got to put all the effort in. There's no such thing as failure. You have to keep pushing because you're resilient and all of that stuff. And yes, to some degree, it's true. But when you internalize it, especially from a young age, it becomes the standard. So again, going back to what I said before, when you don't do it, then you feel like you're failing at something. And when you put motherhood in the mix, it's like, oh, not only am I failing myself, I'm failing my partner, or I'm failing my children now, I'm failing my household. And it becomes this avalanche of just like all consuming and letting people down. And it feels like it's going against your innate ability to be that enduring woman, that strong woman, that resilient woman, that woman that perseveres, that can outcome any obstacle with just a few like bumps and bruises. And we see it everywhere: social media, magazines, the news, from other people, just in the community, especially when there's aspects of feeling like you have to compete with one another because so and so is doing this and I should be doing this as well. And oh, because I didn't do that, then I need to do this. It's a lot. It is a lot of pressure that we put on ourselves. And I feel like society does it because they can capitalize on it. Like if you're burnt out, if now you've got all these mental issues and problems and all these feelings, you have to like, you've misplaced it. Oh, there's a service for this, there's a pill for that, there's a person for this, there's a resource for that. Opposed to sometimes you just need a person to talk to sometimes, and that doesn't cost you money. It could be your family, it could be your partner, it could be a close friend. Sometimes you just need that rest. Sometimes you just need to be okay with not being okay because it's temporary. It's not going to be forever. But because we don't give ourselves the luxury of understanding our capacity without seeing it through a lens of I'm compromising myself, I'm diluting myself. I mean, not all the time are you making yourself small. Sometimes you just know what it is that you want and you said it and other people might not like it, and then that makes you either go down the road of no, I'm going to be 10 toes down on this because that's what I want, or oh, maybe I should be doing this, or oh, it's just me, I should. No. Like I feel like it's ultimately pressure. It's outside pressure, it's outside noise, it's outside just too many opinions, too many chefs in the kitchen at one time, I think is what makes it hard.
That is so true. You know what I actually love? You actually said when we need to talk, it's not necessarily there's always a service to. Sometimes it's just us expressing to family or friends. And I think a lot of mums, I've had these conversations, sometimes it's not who we talk to, it's just being able to be listened to. It doesn't necessarily have to happen a specific. What I really love is I guess just giving yourself permission, and every variation where you said, you know, actually it's okay to be okay. And it's similar to when you said about grace. And I think sometimes as mums, it's for us to realize actually it's okay not to be okay right now, and that's okay. That being being okay is a point, just like thriving, just like being.
And the thing is, sometimes when you're not okay, that's when you learn the most, because it's that uncomfortability that's going to make you be like, okay, well, I don't want to feel like this again. So what can I do to alleviate whatever that is that's kind of like putting that weight on you? But I think, again, going back to society, we're in a world where you shouldn't feel bad. You shouldn't not know. You shouldn't not be able to do. So like pull up your bootstraps and get on with it. And then that just creates this unrealistic culture within our homes of doing the most when it's not required. I think we tell ourselves that we're meant to be doing all these things. It's not required of us to do all these things.
True.
It just feels like if I'm not doing it, like I said before, I'm failing. So I feel like sometimes, and I've been that person as well, you do everything thinking that you're accomplishing stuff so you can feel good at the end of the day, like, yes, I'm a mum. Not only did I keep them alive and cook the food and my husband's satisfied and the clothes are done and the shopping's in, oh, you want to do the business or you want to have the job, you want to do that. And it's like, you can do all those things throughout the week or throughout the month. Why are we trying to do them all in 24 hours? Yeah. And then the next day not knowing why we don't know our finger from our foot. You know what I mean? So I think we have to still have that self-awareness of capacity and knowing that just because I can't do that today, that's fine. I might do it on Friday, or I might just do it next week because it's not a priority. We need to remove this level of urgency, especially when you have young children thinking like, oh my God, I have to do this before they wake up. I've only got 30 minutes. You don't, because your house isn't going to burn down if the baby's bottle hasn't been made in that moment. Now, yes, it makes life easier, but maybe it could be like, okay, I don't want to be in this situation again tomorrow. So what I'll do, I'll set 3 bottles, I'll prepare 3 now, and then I'll make sure that there's 2 ready to go. So in the morning, I can tap him on the shoulder and be like, get up and go and feed yourself so I can like sleep for 30 minutes. Like there's ways around it, but you just have to be willing to want to make those pivots and changes and not think that because you're making a change, it's because you've done something wrong. You're making a change because you can see there's an area of improvement or just a way of making your life easier.
Exactly. Do you know, as you're talking, something came to mind that one of our mentors, there was a reel he shared, and he said that people don't have trust issues. The real issue is that other people have lying issues. And I thought that's so powerful. And I think it's very similar to what you're saying, is that sometimes we have all of these pressures, and it's not that you're failing if you're not doing it, is that we live in a society where we're very much victim shame and victim blame. If you're not breaking yourself and, you know, stretching yourself thinner than anything, you're somewhat not valued, good enough. And, you know, the mother that can climb out, like you described it, can climb Mount Everest, put on the meal, keep the kids settled and happy, satisfy the husband, and, you know, keep stretching and keep going and doing it. It's like this ever, you know, you're on a like conveyor belt of achievement. Well, actually, you could just be. How about you just be? How about you just be present and say, I'll do the bottles tomorrow, like you said, you know?
Yeah. And that makes for a more pleasant way of parenting. It doesn't mean just, obviously there's days where just don't do anything, and that's fine as well.
Yes, absolutely.
But manage what you're doing, whether that's bite-sized things or whether that's I'm just going to tackle this one thing. I know this thing takes me hours to do, so I'd rather just do this today and then not have to do anything later. Opposed, let me do the massive thing and then do the other 4 things and then call back the person and then send that email and then take the laundry. Like, you're one person, and although the world would love for you to always walk around with your cape on and, oh, I'm Supermom, I can do all things, what's the point of being Supermom if you're crying at the end of the day? You know what I mean? Like, what's the point in that? Like, especially when you don't have that infrastructure or system around you that can help to support you during that time. Back.
Very, very true. So much for your response to those questions, to the question. So I'm going to move on to the next question, Nadine. Next question is, what role has community played in your journey, whether it's been a source of strength or something that you struggled with?
It has been a good, ultimately like a sounding board. I think once I started to find my voice and like really advocate for when I needed help or I needed assistance, or I just needed someone to have a little bit of a bitch and a moan with, because sometimes that's all you want to do. It's just like, oh, life. I've kept everyone else alive, but I'm just not here for it today. It's been a pillar of strength with particular people when I knew I just didn't have it in me to perform. Because sometimes my strength came through performing. I became so used to it, I could switch it on and just be like, okay, showtime, let's do all the things. And then deep down inside, I'm like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to talk to this person. I don't want to. But I knew how to get it done. And in those times, it's been nice having, especially the females in my life, where I can be like, girl. Just go with a sigh. That's a conversation, or like with a kiss my teeth. But you're just like, oh, I just want to talk. And sometimes I don't even want to talk about me. Sometimes I just want to talk. Like, let's talk about you. Let me have a little escapism or a little, like, let me live through you for a minute, because sometimes life can feel like a lot, and not necessarily that it feels heavy. It's like almost being on a treadmill at times, and there's just somebody pressing the button, like that personal trainer is pressing the button, and I'm like, bro, it's day 3. I can't do speed 12. Why do you keep touching the button? Why do you keep shouting at me? I don't want to do better. I want to do 6, not 12. That's where I'm comfortable. And they're able to kind of just like bring things out of you that you don't know. And I feel like that's one of the things I've learned the most. Where I've been able to like perform my way through things, they have been able to be so attuned with me that they can pull out the thing that I actually need to have out. And then I'm like, oh, I didn't know I had that. I don't have to perform. Like, I just need to maybe use this instead of that. Or maybe I need to express this instead of what I've been expressing. So, for example, if I'm really frustrated, my friend might be like, girl, how much sleep did you get yesterday? Oh, I had a restless night. I didn't really. Girl, you're not frustrated. You're irritable. And I suggest you get your kids to bed early and maybe just have a nice shower and just go to your bed. Like, switch the TV off and relax. If I didn't have the conversation, I would just be, everyone would get it. I wouldn't care. I would have ammunition for days for the gun that I would be shooting. Like, it would be one of those ones where I don't care who you are anymore. Everyone can have some of this today because I'm over it. And it's just like, oh, you're tired. That's what it is. Just like how we look at our kids, we're like, oh, you're so irritable right now. Do you need a nap? There's times where if someone ever told me, Nadine, go and have a nap, it would be World War III. Like, easily. And without those sorts of people in your life that can check you when you need to be checked, but also comfort you when you need comfort, game changer. It's a game changer, because I know that sometimes our instant reaction is, well, I'm going to become a recluse and I don't feel good. I might not want to bleed on anybody else. I might not want to be around anyone else. So I'm just going to be by myself. And whatever this feeling is that I'm dealing with that I clearly can't cope with, when you could just like send that text message, drop the voice note, do you know what I mean? Pick up the phone, go to the house, invite somebody round to like break it up. But again, it's that thing of, are you showing yourself enough grace to know that you are entitled to that? Like, some stuff you are deserving of having. It's not even a request. Like, that's just bare minimum. You should have that anyway. You should have a community. You should have the sleep. You should have these essential things that help you function. Like, and navigate stuff, because it's a lot. Being a mum is it's a lot. It's a lot, and no 2 days are the same with any child, any of them.
There'll always be surprises.
Yeah, like, even if it's the same scenario, you're like, what? But so and so did that when that happened. Yeah, every day's different.
Every day is different. But what I really love is how you talk about that we are deserving of having that community support, but the sacred essence of that sisterhood. I think it's so important when you could just go and have that female coming together. They'll just get it. Just even if you're in silence, they're like,
Yeah, and the thing is, even if you're not a mother, some of your single friends or your friends that are childless have that maternal quality.
absolutely.
So you shouldn't like discount or disqualify someone because, oh, like, oh, you don't get it because you don't have a child. Okay, I don't have a child, but guess what I do have because I don't have a child? Time. So how about I take your child? Do you know what I mean? And we reverse. And now you can be me and I can be you. Like, we can't always just pigeonhole everybody. I think in your community, it is definitely good to know who plays what role. And that means having those conversations, like, what do you bring to the table? What do I bring to the table? Am I bringing enough to the table? Do I need to switch up what I'm bringing? And once you kind of like unpack those things, then your community becomes stronger, even if it becomes less, because you might also weed up people that just don't need to be there anymore. It becomes more deep rooted where you're like, oh, okay, I can feel safe and secure with this person because I know that they've got my back regardless.
I love that. So well said. So well said. Just being there for each other. That's beautiful. Everyone in the community has a role and plays a role.
Yeah.
Question yourself, how am I contributing? How can I contribute more? Love it. Love that. So next question is, how do you cope with the guilt and doubts that come with motherhood?
If I'm being honest, at times I don't.
At times I don't. There are times when I'm just like, just feel how you're feeling. Like, just ride this out for a little bit. Because I do think there's an aspect of good in that. I think sometimes when we're too quick to just kind of like, I want to get out of here and like bust through the doors, you're missing out on what's needed. I feel like there's times where I felt guilty in mothering. Maybe I didn't do enough, or I said the wrong thing, or I may have hurt the child's feelings for whatever reason, or I forgot something. There's something about me that I can take from it that I need to learn. Whether that's something I need to improve or something I need to change completely, or something that's like, yeah, that doesn't serve either the situation or it doesn't serve that particular child, and it might serve one of my other kids well. But to like race through it is almost like a disservice to yourself, because again, it gives an air of, I don't consider myself to be important enough to investigate what's happening, why this is happening, why I feel like this, why am I reacting like this all the time? Why does this particular thing or word or I don't know, time or day trigger me? You know, like every time it comes to like dinner time, I'm triggered and I want to wean this child. I want this child to just know how to eat solid foods or forget. Like, there's multiple reasons in why we feel guilt, but I don't think it should always be deemed as bad. Sometimes it should be like a teachable moment for yourself where you just kind of explore it a little bit. Now, that doesn't say stay there for the whole week. Maybe like give yourself 24 hours or something to be like, oh, okay, let me just see what it is, or I'll sleep on it, or I'll revisit this tomorrow. But I think when we try to race through it, because we're not giving ourselves the opportunity to learn, when it happens again, we feel more shame and more guilt. And then it does become that thing of, I'm just not going to tell anybody anything and I'll just suffer in silence. And hopefully one day it'll just magically go away. Like my child will come out of the terrible twos and it will just stop happening. Like, you know, it doesn't always work like that.
That is so good. You know, hearing you, because my children are a bit older now, my youngest is 12, listening to your responses really is taking me back down memory lane. And it's like, wow, like that would have been really good advice to have heard when I was at that stage. And even when you were talking about the food, like feeding them when they're young, feeding them and wanting them to transition onto solids, like there was so much tension there. Like it's totally different being in this space, but there is so much exhaustion and so much to do, and there's never, you know, there's never a list that's short enough to go, oh, I can chill.
Yeah.
It was just long lists of things to do. But I love the way you've really given perspective that no matter where you are on your motherhood journey, it's realizing giving yourself grace. It's realizing to tap. So I really appreciated your responses to this question, and I think it's a place where mums can really grasp a lot of wisdom, irrespective to where they are on their motherhood journey. Yeah. Your children might be very young, your children might be, you know, middle stage or a little bit older. But I think what I really love is the common theme that you need to give yourself grace, but more importantly, you're important. Like you have to add on to the equation. Like
because there's always gonna be that terrible too, even at 18. Do you know what I mean? That there's always gonna be a season of like pushback, because like we were saying, everybody's evolving. So it doesn't matter how old you get, even at 42, there's times when I kind of can see when I test my mum's boundaries, not to be rebellious, but at the stage of life that I'm at, I'm like, I don't agree with that. And I'm going to stand firm on the fact I don't agree with that. And we're going to have this back and forward discourse until one of us gives up. Like, it's one of those. And that's what my children do to me. Like, oh, no, but I want to go out. Oh, it's going to be late. No, I don't want you to be out late. And then we do the whole back and forth until we come to some sort of resolution in whether you're staying, you're going, or we've like made a happy medium somewhere along the line. And I think that's why we need to really utilize grace. That's why we really need to start maximizing that aspect and like literally slavering ourselves in it. Like when you are greasing your skin in the morning, grace. When you are getting washed, grace. When you eat your food, grace. Like even when you're watching little trash TV, guess what? That's grace, because that's you just doing your thing to wind down. Like I think these things are not, we don't have to buy these things. We don't have to outsource. We don't need someone to lend us there so we can have some. Like, it's there for the taking. Do you want to take it? Like, how much it's not even how much. The question would be, how are you viewing yourself that you are not trying to give yourself the bare minimum stuff that you need?
True. That's a good question.
Like, because it says a lot about where you're at in how you treat yourself. And I think sometimes when we explore the I aspect, like the self, a lot of external stuff becomes a lot easier. When we're trying to do the external stuff knowing that we feel like crap, and we're not giving ourselves opportunity to understand what the heck is going on, that's when life can get very, very hard very, very quickly.
Very true. Very, very true. And we do really, like, I just as a closing to that response, we really do teach people how to treat us. So I think it's so important because, you know, especially as our children are getting older, it's like they can very much, or even your partner can become very much accustomed to you not being important, not because they don't think you're important, but the way everything's set up and structured, you've just taught them not to have you in the equation. So as they're getting older, you might be depleted and thinking like, why are they not seeing? They've kind of been trained not to. They've just been trained.
And that's when you have to, again, performativity.
Yeah.
Or is some of the ways that you're being treated based on how you perform? Like, is this who I am, or is this what I think I need to be doing? So I'll just put that mask on today to get through the day. Because you can only, just like we can only support people in what they tell us, you can only be treated by how you are articulating how you want to be treated. And that goes across the board. I think we can become very attached to, I'm going to teach my child how to respect me. I'm going to teach my child how to da-da-da-da-da. Okay, but why are you not like that with your manager at work? Why are you not like that with your sister? Why are you not like that with your partner? It's all the same thing, because the reality is, whether we're big or we're small, we are all very much human. So we need to really do like our due diligence in how we are showing up for others, but also how we are expecting others to show up for ourselves. So I totally agree with what you said.
You know, I'm really glad that you mentioned this. It's actually reminded me of something. So someone, I know that if you're listening to this and your mum, I know some of the people, some mums that I work with, they have either gone through abuse or going through abuse. And I think I just wanted to say this for the love of who you are. So it's not saying when you're in quite a difficult situation, it's not blaming you for that, because I think there's a fine line. Sometimes there are kids observing abuse, so they will treat mum in a certain light, and the mum's at her wit's end. Because I think I guess the reason I feel it dropped into my spirit was that I don't want a mum to hear this and start blaming herself even more for what she's already suffered. And I just want you guys to separate this, because that's not what we're actually discussing.
And that's any type of abuse as well. Please don't just think physical, because a lot more emotional abuse happens than the physical. So
I'm so glad that the conversation got to this. I think it's really important, because I think the worst thing that can happen listening to this podcast is that you start beating yourself up more.
No. Exactly. And again, it comes back to that level of awareness. Level of awareness.
So I think Nadine's done a great job at teaching us, giving yourself grace. So give yourself, if that is a situation you're in, you know, really lean and stretch out to get some support, but give yourself grace. The reality is that if your children are observing abuse, be that physical or emotional, it's not so much saying that you're teaching that partner to abuse you. So I just wanted to add that, but thank you so much. Thank you very much. So the next question I have is, what do you wish people understood about the emotional labor that comes along with motherhood?
That it's trying. It's trying and it's testing. And again, no one has a manual. Everyone can assume how you should mother. And I think sometimes assumptions comes from being a good person. If you're a good person, then that means you're good in all aspects of your life. And it's not like that. Like, your children have their own emotions, and this is from birth. Like, they have their own ways of expressing themselves. They have their own characteristics, their own personalities. Some things gel, some things don't. Some things you may know and you can just do, because even if it's your first child, you might have been good with your cousins, or I don't know, maybe your step brothers and sisters and stuff. Like, you're very hands-on, so you know how to change your bum, you know how to feed the baby or birth the baby or whatever. But every day, like we said, is a different day. And that's what makes it trying. Some days, nothing happens. It's amazing. It's like, we did this. We aced this day. I didn't know I had this in me, but I can do it. And then there's other days where you are in the trenches and it just feels like, Lord, take me now. Like, if you're ready, I'm ready, because I can't anymore. I can't do this anymore. And because of that, we can't just, there's no cut out copy of what motherhood is. So even though we've got like all the books, we've got all the podcasts, we've got all the quotes, and we've got everything, but your experience is never going to be able to fit into a quote. It's never going to be able to fit into a book, because it changes so much. And I think as you evolve as your own self, the self that isn't attached to motherhood or being the 9-to-5 girl or the business entrepreneur, whatever it is, you are going to change how you parent. You're going to change how you mother. And I've noticed for me, the longer I'm in this game, the more I realize how much I need to be mothered. I need to mother myself. I need my own mum more these days than I did back then. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a weird shift. And I think sometimes you think about it as, oh, when I'm older, my children are going to look after me. And that's how we view mothering. But it happens before you even get to your old age. You start re-mothering yourself, because you start to see things in which you've learned. You start seeing the things you are meant to unlearn. And as you're unlearning them, that means you have to start mothering yourself in that area, so that you can be a better mother to the children that you have. So it shifts. It literally, motherhood shape shifts all the time. And this is why we cannot be too hard on ourselves, because it is a very unpredictable role that you have. Especially because you don't know who your children are going to become, or who they're becoming in the season that they're in. So yeah.
You've moved me by what you said. I love that line where you said, the more I mother, the more I realize I need mothering. I love that so much. And it's that beautiful dynamics that, you know, God has put in motion, in essence. You know, your mother, you never stop needing a mother. You get older, you just need your mother dynamics. And you know, you've got your mother, and then you're mothering yourself, and then you're mothering your children. And it's interesting how there's this unique tapestry always taking place. It's so,
and I think it's interesting that you tend to watch a lot of things or hear like people say, oh, my mum's so different with her grandkids.
Oh yeah.
Even that is a new, but it's a new aspect of them of mothering, because I feel like in their minds, subconsciously, it's like, oh, I can get to do it right.
Oh,
I get another chance of like mothering in a better way, because you usually tend to hear that, oh, they never used to do that with me. They never used to let me have sweets. They never used to let me whatever. And it's like, oh, maybe they're trying to like rewrite stuff that they did with you with the grandchild.
Me personally, I love this, what you've shared. I really love this so much, that, and it's not something I've heard often. I really love what you've just said. It really is. If we put ourselves in their shoes sometimes, even if it's unconsciously, they may not do it consciously, it's like, I'm getting another chance to kind of rectify or do it differently to the way I used to. That's so beautiful.
We as parents kind of do it on a day-to-day basis, because even for me, when it's your child, and we're going to be really, really honest here, say your child is having a tantrum, you literally just want to tell the child to just stop this foolishness. Like, just cut it out. Just cut it out and just behave yourself. Because I already told you you're not getting anything from the shop. But then if it's your friend's child, you're like, come on, I need you to stop now. Like, yeah, okay, I'll call your mum. We'll see what your mum says. On the inside, you're like, if that was Aria, she already knows this to not ask me to do this stuff. She knows to act better. Like, we do it all the time. It's just that I feel like maybe when it's like the familial side of it, it's more like, there's more just like softness to it. It's just like, oh, I get to right all my wrongs. And we kind of do that in our day-to-day encounters with other parents, where you're just softer. I don't know why we're like that.
You've done
I feel like we're just softer with them, because we don't know them. We don't want to upset the child. But when it's your child, you're like, listen, this is the fourth time I told you, I need you to stop now. I'm not going to say this again. Listen to what I'm saying to you.
You've done it again, Nadine. I love that. it's that moment, like, listen to this audio. No, actually, you listen to this as well.
Yeah.
I love that, because there is, there's that rough essence of the dynamics where it's like my mum was nothing like that. I'm hearing her like talk soft. She's got this soft voice. What's going on? Like, mum, you weren't like that with me. But
Come and talk to me about anything. Come in and it's like,
that is such a good idea. Because the reality is, you're not going to talk to your friend's child like that. But you just wouldn't.
Yeah.
You just,
unless you have like unless that child is like your child,
but still,
and you have been doing it through thick and thin. You've got that consensus of like, my child is your child and your child is my child. Like back in the day, you didn't want to get caught by Miss so and so because you knew she could grip you up just like your mum. Yeah. Sometimes I feel like we should bring those days back. However,
I agree.
However,
I agree. I actually think they were the good old days. Like, as much as it was tough, it was very much, you can see the reward at the other end.
Yeah, there was community. There was definitely 80s, 90s.
It was the best. Absolutely the best.
Community was very much like, you could leave your door, literally, you could leave your door open. Like,
open door policy.
Depending on where you were. Let's just preface that. Then as I said, you actually really couldn't. You couldn't even have your window cracked. Like, no. But in my little state, you could kind of leave your door open if you wanted to.
That's so funny. So, next question. What legacy do you hope to live and leave for your children?
My journals. That's like my tangible legacy. And although it won't give like riches unless like they did something with it, the wealth of who I was is in every journal, every poem I've written, like every text message I've sent them, every card I've written them. Like, that legacy is like littered everywhere for them to see. And I think outside of that, I would want it to be my children carrying the best parts of me in them when I'm not here. Essentially, I feel like, yeah, if they could still have like all the stuff that I get complimented on in regards to character, not like the things that I have, and they can be like, oh, that reminds me of your mum type of energy. Like, that's good to me. That's good legacy, because if you have that in you and people see that, you're naturally going to pass it on to your children, and we'll just be out here being the lineage of Nadine. You know what I mean? Like, that to me is cool. Obviously, yeah, I want to make sure that they're comfortable, God willing, but I feel like legacy is more about the things that we can't touch than it is of the things that, because it's all gonna go. All that stuff to me is still very, very temporary. Even the journals, they can read it, but they will have the essence of that embedded in them some way, somehow, and they can still carry that on. But like, yeah, I could leave them £1 million and they could blow the £1 million, and then what? Like, I wanted to have something where someone can see it beyond me, but what they see goes backwards from the history. It goes back into the history of who I was, who my mum was, who my nan was, and that's why you have that particular thing about you.
I love that. That is beautiful. You oh gosh, you keep doing it. So all these memories coming up. So one time we went to a conference for authors, but it was just women, and there was this amazing speaker on the stage, and she got us to close our eyes and like just visualize while she was talking about something along the lines of, you are the answer to your ancestors' prayers. And she was saying that there once, it was very much focused on the female lineage. So like, there was once a time where your grandma couldn't do this. Oh, it was like, just as you were talking, I don't know why you're just giving birth to all these old memories. Oh my God. And she was just talking and saying, that your grandma had to sit so that the next woman could walk, and then the next woman could run because the other one had walked. And it's like, just as you were talking, that's such a beautiful legacy piece.
And that literally reminds me of a quote that I saw recently this week, and it has that same kind of understanding essence, and it was along the lines of, imagine that somebody is waiting for you to do the thing so that they can act, or so that they can move.
Yes.
And I was like, wow, I feel like we really downplay the power that we have, because we get so caught up in what the world says that we should be doing and having and receiving, that when you really strip it back, and it was like, if you didn't have any of this, if you were just like a sim and you was just plopped into the environment, what are you offering? Like, what do you have to give? Because you have some sort of like character trait that's been downloaded into you for you to do. What would that be? Because I think sometimes that's the thing that you're meant to run with. Like, I think we all have aspects of God-given talents that might not make sense, and like, how would that fit into my day-to-day? But you have it because that thing, that seed, is meant to create lots of different plants and variations. So like for me, I know it's the writing thing. So I don't think my daughter's very good at writing. My eldest daughter, she's the little poetry is in her. She shared a couple of things with me, and I was like, girl, if you don't let me put this into a book for you. But when I used to write, I just loved it. I didn't know where it would fit in, not knowing that years from now, that it would be my same writing and my same words that I put on the page that would help so many people, because that was never what I thought. Now, I don't know if I went down into my heritage, if there was writers in my family, maybe that's where I get it from. It should be something that I probably research in time. But I know, but by me doing that, it lends to the legacy. Because if I didn't write and you asked me this question, if I'm being truthfully honest, I don't know what the answer would fully be. Wow. But I know from my writing that my legacy comes through that in some way, even with the children and outside of the children. I know that's part of whatever this big masterpiece is. So it might be good for people to think about, like, what's my thing? Even if it doesn't fit into the day-to-day, what is the thing? And it's usually the thing that brings you the most joy.
And I just want to add to what you said, because I love it so much, when you were talking about someone's waiting for you to get started in order for them to start. I think that is such a golden piece of wisdom, because the reality is, it's like dominoes. We do activate each other, and there is a unique tapestry. Like that hospital that you haven't built was supposed to be on that street so it can help those people. And without it, there's certain things that just won't happen. And sometimes I love the way you spoke into it, is that sometimes we don't see the magnitude of the impact of our visions. Like, it's just, we're gripping back and forth, like, should I get started, should I not? When we should have been tapping into the why. What's the bigger why? What's the bigger picture? Because that one book that you will need to write, that will save lives. That one, you know, going out with a smile, seeing that one person that hasn't been smiled at for the past year, you know, sometimes hugging someone. Some people haven't been hugged. So I love that.
We don't know what everybody's book is like.
Exactly. Very, very
so yeah.
Thank you very much for that beautiful legacy piece. So my next question is, how has motherhood transformed your relationships?
It's definitely highlighted to me the importance of things being reciprocal. Because with your children, it's challenging. Sometimes you get them on board straight away, and sometimes it's literally like tug of war. And I think the relationships that you have within your household can very much determine the relationships that you have outside. And I feel like the ones within your household need to be the ones that you tend to the most. Like, they are the ones that require the first of any type of best that you have in you. And then you can offer the rest outside of that. And it doesn't mean you're giving less. It just means that you just don't get the best, the first part of the best. You get the sufficiency of what's needed afterwards. She's attacking the door.
I really love that, but I think one thing I want to echo is that you talk about reciprocation, being reciprocal in relationships. I think far too often we're often told what we need to do, but it really is a two-way street, and it always works better when we each pour into each other. And I love what you said. It starts at home. Like,
and I think it does. I think it truly does, and I think I'm not gonna lie, I'm not the biggest like gentle parenting, because sometimes I think it's just a little bit too soft for my liking. And it's not to say you must be out here like gripping your children up every minute of the day, but for me, I just feel like it's a bit too, we're on the same wavelength and we're not. However, it doesn't mean that you should eliminate your child from being a part of the relationship. Because I feel sometimes we can go into this space of just dictating everything and expecting them to be okay. And then we can go to the other extreme where it's like, oh, like you're free and all of your opinions count and everything that you say matters. And sometimes you don't know you're free. I don't need to justify why you have to eat all your food. You're 3 years old and I need you to eat. So eat the food.
We're back to the
So,
80s, honey.
yeah, but at the same time, I don't think we have to be out here like walloping our children every second because they've said something that's hurt our feelings or made us question our own parenting skill in that moment. And because of that, there has to be a level of give and take. And I think that's where, yes, things like communication do have to come into play. And some aspects of explanation do have to come into play. We can help our children be more well-rounded, maybe earlier on than my generation, where it was literally like, I'm telling you what to do as I say, not as I do, type of world. But I wouldn't want my children to be in a space where they just feel like I've stripped them of their voice. And now they have to wait until they're in their late teens or in their 20s or have left the home to pluck up the courage now to be like, I didn't really like when you used to do this, or I don't like when you do this. You used to do this to me when I was a child and it made me feel X, Y, Z. And now I'm so ingrained in how I've been doing stuff. I get into that mindset of that's just how I am, because there's a lot of parents who are just very much, that's how I am, so whatever, like it's posh, you're 25 now, you have your own family, why are you still crying about this? So this is why I think aspects of it being reciprocal is necessary within reason, so you don't swing between both ends of the spectrum.
You know, I would say that I'm very grateful again. Like I'm really enjoying this conversation. But I want to thank you for touching on some aspects that are so important when we're talking about motherhood. And you've touched on something that people do live into their young adulthood or throughout their lives with that trauma of, I can't speak to my parents about bits that hurt me or hold me back because they're not interested. You're grown now.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Like, get on with it. Figure it out. Move on. And I think that is something that our listeners need to be mindful of, is that are we able to not only give ourselves grace, but our children? Sometimes it's not so much about who's right or wrong. Sometimes it's rising above and using wisdom. And if you have your faith to lean into that, and that, what do they need in this time so they can be healed and set free?
Yeah.
And I think something so sacred in that I love what you said, is that I want to speak to my parent about this pain, but they can either shut down and we don't know the impact it will have on them, or they can just hold the space and say, well, you were young at the time and I want you to understand it from this perspective, and now you're older, or maybe when you become a parent it'll make more sense, but I want to hold the space for you. And I think it's beautiful just to realize the impact of your response when they're down.
Yeah.
That child might need healing, because I've met many clients that I've sat with, and it wasn't so much about making the parent wrong. It was just at that time in their life, they literally just needed to be listened to so they can be healed and set free. And sometimes when they don't get that, you know, all kinds of things can happen. So just being...
And that's the thing, I think we forget when we become parents that we're still someone's child.
Yes.
Like we think like, oh, I'm a parent, I'm exempt now.
Yeah.
Because now I'm doing the parenting. It's like, yeah, but you're still that person's child.
Exactly.
So,
and then, I guess the flip side to that, especially like with this new age stuff, I like what you said, because I'm a traditionalist, but I do think because society's changed so much, parents, even if you are very traditional and you know you've got your boundaries, I think because of the way society is, like I've heard lots of children just being messy and getting their parents in trouble for things like, okay, you can't use your mobile right now, or technology. So I love what you said about the reciprocal. I love what you said about starting at home, and that really does mean that the children have to be on that same page and work with the parents. But you've touched on so many beautiful topics.
And the thing is, it might not be easy at all. You might get 2 of the children on board, and then you've got that one that's like, I'm not doing it, I don't like it, I don't care. So it's not to say that, oh yeah, you do it this way and it's just smooth set. No, there's going to be bumps in the road, because again, times and seasons, things will change as time goes on. But it's not impossible. And there's times you have to know what battles to pick. There might come a time where you're just like, you know what, I got 3 out of the 4, so hopefully what we're doing will have a ripple effect on them. But I can't keep taking away from the 3 that want to do it because the 1 is staying low. It just means I might have to figure out another way to connect or reach that child to kind of get them on board. And maybe they might not know they're being on board, but I'm doing it a way that helps them come into alignment with what's happening. So yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That's real problems that families are experiencing. So I really love that you spoke into that. And I love what you said about picking your battles, like really maintain it. If you're listening to this, think about your own mental and physical health and pick your battles wisely. Not every
because like we said, it's exhausting. Yes. Sometimes I don't, even if you're a parent and you know you're in the right and you're like, I know this is the right thing to do, sometimes it is so exhausting, you're just like, I don't care anymore. So don't have the biscuit. Don't have chocolate, because I just can't anymore. See, this one thinks she's getting a biscuit now. I literally just don't care anymore. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Totally hear you. But that's good advice. And, you know, I want to give you roses. You know, this is the reality. We're mums and we have to deal with things. Things will show up and we deal with it and pick our battles as we go along. So thank you. Next question I have is, what's the most unexpected lesson that you've learned from your children?
One would be my level of patience. You know when you think you have something and then you're like, I really don't. For me, it was patience. I used to think like, oh yeah, I'm quite laid back. Go and have a child. Have a child. Not a dog, not a cat, not a bird. Have a whole human being. And patience is a different thing. Like you could have patience because I think as well because you have time. So I could be patient because I have time. I have time to do what I got to do. Have a child. And it's just like, what is patience? Did I just make that up? Is patience real? Where can I get some from? I'm running low. Because for me, I didn't realize how impatient I could be. And I think some of that came from being someone who can manage her stuff well. Children are unpredictable. Doesn't matter how old they are. Patience. Sometimes I don't have enough to last me the whole 16 hours or whatever it is I'm awake. Because I'm just like, I am one human being, especially when you have multiple. So again, I have 4. If one of them uses up too much patience, I feel sorry for the other 3 because I don't have enough for all of you in 24 hours. I should do. And it's something that I do really work on because I do feel like we should have patience because that leans into other things such as being able to be more kind, being able to have more self-control and all this other stuff. But Lord knows they test that. That if that was the button that you're not meant to press, they love pressing the button just to see if their mum's got patience today. 8 times out of 10, I don't. I'm never going to say 9 times. I give them 8 times out of 10. I actually don't have patience for the foolishness. But here we are.
And that's so true. And I love the fact that you highlighted the unpredictability. As parents, we very much have to navigate the realm of unpredictability. That's the realm.
It doesn't. You can have the most tight schedule, like you can have it down to a science, and there's gonna be that one night where the child does not want to go to sleep, or the child gets up first thing in the morning, or they magically decided they don't like chips anymore. They like whatever, and it's the one thing that you don't have, or it's the one thing that you're not prepared to go and make for them. But now that's the new thing, that's what they like, and then they go back to liking chips the next day. Like there's so many things that children come with, and it makes me laugh because I think to myself, was I ever like this as a child? Because I think we tell ourselves we were perfect children and we don't get why our parents are so upset all the time. And then you have children and you question yourself and you say, I wasn't that bad. Like there's been times I've said to my mum, I wasn't that bad, was I? And she's like, if you don't come out my face, like, you don't just get your children and go home. I wasn't that bad. Like we all do it, but when it's you in that driver's seat, like it's very real, and you question your sanity at the time of saying, yeah, I'm gonna have kids because why not? Why not have more means?
How you said it, how the definition of parents, of patience, sorry, will be redefined in motherhood. Absolutely, unequivocally, it will be redefined. Absolutely, you're gonna question, did I really have patience? Because no.
Yeah, it's a different, you know, like when you do certain things and you have to tap into a different side of yourself, like when you do Fear Factor. When you do Fear Factor and you have to tap into another side of yourself, that is motherhood. At some point, you have to be like, okay, who do I need to be? Who do I need to be in this moment to get through the next hour?
And that's the
And
question.
then that's what you do. Yeah, and the thing is, again, it comes back to self-awareness. You know what is required of you and when. But yeah, I'm still trying to figure out my patience bag.
But I like what you said. Like, I think that's a real teachable moment for mums that's listening now. Is like, who do I need to be in order to get through the next hour? And I think just asking those powerful questions really changes and pivots the way you show up. It's like, what is
and it doesn't mean, sorry to cut you, it doesn't mean that the version that you're being isn't enough either. So I don't want people to think that, oh, so that means I have to. No, it just might mean you have to do maybe a little bit more. Or you might have to do something completely different or radical that makes your child think, oh, hold on, mom doesn't usually act like this. And then it's that thing that makes them say, okay, I don't like when she takes all my stuff away. I wasn't expecting her to do that. I just wanted to keep shouting her name 15 times. So she's going to respond.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because I think that's so, I wish someone had told me that early on in parenting, because I think that is the difference that makes the difference. Sometimes we misinterpret that all behavior is led to something. There's a calling. So behaviors are not just out of the blue. They're very much linked to a messaging or a cry for help. And sometimes it's a way of the child getting your attention. And the reality is, if you give a different response, often it changes the whole different dynamics.
Yeah.
They know
and sometimes it could be the softer response. Yeah. Sometimes it might not be. I don't know if people remember the Family Guy when Stu was like, Lois, and she's just like, what do you want? Yes. Sometimes that might be your response because you're like, I'm sick of this. But then on the odd occasion, you might be like, is everything okay? What do you need? And it's that like, oh, I enjoy when you might do the whole, what is it that you want? And now that you think, you have to think like, what is it that I actually do need? Do I actually need anything at all? And then that's a different experience that you'll have moving forward from that. But yeah, I think you have to, once you understand yourself a bit more, and when I say understand yourself, I also mean understanding yourself outside of mum. Because I feel like a lot of my parenting improved when I started to understand who I was, because then I was able to have boundaries for myself and standards for myself, which changed how I would mother. Because if I'm like, look, if I know I like to be in my bed at 8, you are going to have to get with that program. I'm going to bed at 8. If I'm the caregiver, if I'm going to bed at 8, then you can do what you're doing sensibly. But I know that where I'm at now in my 42-year-old body that isn't 20 anymore, she needs to be in bed at 8 o'clock. She needs to be in bed either reading a book or watching her Netflix or in her Bible or having that conversation she couldn't have earlier on when you were running up and down and screaming at your games at 8 o'clock. When I was doing my mothering, it becomes every and anything that the child needs, wants, desires, asks for, doesn't like. That's the focus. Once I started shifting it into, okay, this is what I'm doing. How do I make this fit around what I need to get done or the capacity that I have today? It shifts a lot within the home. And I think if it's something that you can kind of, already there's practicality, because if your child's really young, they're dependent on you. So you are the whole thing. As they get older, if you really start to implement it, maybe around when they're in year 4, for example, maybe like 8, 9 years old, and you start letting them understand, like, okay, this is what we're doing today. This is the new like bedtime routine. So you're kind of catering to them, but also yourself. By the time they get to teenagers, it's just, this is how it is. And now everyone kind of learns about having their own independence and figuring out what their own things are that they like to do, because they know, okay, mom goes to bed at 8. So I don't know, between 8 and 10 before we all have to switch the lights on, what do I want to do to enjoy myself? Do I want to go to bed? Is this my time to have my bath or to speak to my friends or watch my program downstairs because no one's going to bother me? Like, what does that look like for them? So then they start building a routine, but then they also start seeing an example of, oh, this is what it looks like to prioritize your needs as an individual while still being able to have capacity to give to other people.
I love that. I think what I love, there's this common theme that you've been responding with in that know thyself. Like a lot of our strength coming from, like, actually, when I know myself better, I then know where I'm headed, and then people are getting used to what it is that I'm calling out. But it's the loving ourselves, including ourselves, seeing ourselves, asking ourselves, and being, giving ourselves grace. I love how there's this beautiful message, Nadine, of the more I water and nurture myself, the better I can present for my family. And the levels to which I recognize myself, it will have a direct impact on people around us. I think it's so beautiful the way you've actually said that. Was you going to say something? Sorry.
Yeah.
Next one is, if you could change one thing about how society views or supports mothers, what would it be?
What, Mom? I would say to provide more support, and ideally free support. I know, like, when I had my kids, there were a lot more children's centres, there were a lot more mum and baby groups, there were a lot more things happening within our local communities where we didn't have to feel so isolated. And I think, and I don't have any stats or anything, so we can call this an assumption, but I feel like in the world that we live in, there are so much more women who are career focused or have businesses or are very much about being in that entrepreneurial world that... You can put your hand up now, Mom. Hold on, fine. Yeah, because of that, you might not have as many friends who have children the same time as you, because they might be more focused on their careers, or they might be more focused on, I don't know, traveling the world, or I don't know, they're newlyweds, or they've got their partner now, so they're very much in their like bubble of love and stuff like that. And because we don't have as many free resources, I feel, for mothers, especially first-time moms, to tap into, it can become isolating. And I think when we're very aware of things of like postnatal depression and all of that stuff, we can almost be, as a society, contributing to why these things happen or why these things may be lasting as long as they are. And I just feel like if we had those spaces, especially for those women who may not have community, like inbuilt community, those things would help them feel more settled. It will help them to feel like they're not alone in certain aspects. It will help them to learn and to grow in their motherhood, to make new connections, for their children to start making connections, because there was a period where a lot of my friends that I had came from going to mum and baby groups.
Yes.
So I feel like if we could do more of that stuff, even things online, even as mums, having a space online where you can just come and have like a virtual coffee break with just other mums. Like, your babies are in the bed or they're sleeping or whatever it is. You might not be able to make it out all the time, but every Wednesday at, I don't know, 7, there is an hour where I get to just sit and just chat about all the stuff that I don't get to chat about, and have like adult communication. Because even when you have a partner, how do I spell that's you? Present. 1 second, that's present, you can still feel very alone in your motherhood. And if you don't have other people that can relate to motherhood at any stage, you just feel like it is me and this baby, this babbling baby, this dribbling baby against the world. Because I remember a period of the majority of these kids just being very small and just feeling like I don't have a life because I don't talk to anyone outside of these children. When you're walking around the house singing CBB swing tunes like it's the top of the pops, like it's the top 10 tune, there's a problem. It means you're not getting out enough. Because why do I know all of like Postman Pat and CBB and remixing songs? It's like, yeah, if I had, if they were just there all the time now, like how they were then, it would help. So I just feel like, yeah, if we had lots more like mama baby community hubs, it will be a lot better. For the simple fact that you have community outside of community, and you just don't feel like you're by yourself.
That's so refreshing. Like, the reason I'm laughing, I'm not laughing at you. When you're saying things, all these memories are coming up, and for me, the memory that comes up is exactly that. You're walking around the house, humming these songs, and you need to be around, like, it's a sisterhood of mothers that are relatable. It's not, there's certain things that your partner can and can't say that won't really resonate with what you're experiencing. You need to talk to another mum. You just need
and sometimes your partners just want to be, like we were mentioning before, supportive in a way of like, how can I fix it? Not necessarily like they want to be there in a practical sense, but sometimes I know for me it was more emotional. I'm just like, I'm tired. And sometimes when you're tired, you just want to cry, and then you just have your partner looking at you like, what's wrong? Why are you crying? And you're like, because I haven't slept in a week. Like, just because my eyes are closed doesn't mean I'm sleeping. I'm still on baby alert. Like, I'm tired, and my boobs hurt, and my back hurts, and my C-section or whatever it is still healing. It is a lot. And sometimes just having that person to be like, did this happen to you? Like, did you experience this after you had your C-section? Like, what did you do? Like, my nipples are really sore. Like, what do you do to it? Like, there's so many minor things that will drive you insane. But as soon as you find the other mum, it's almost like when they say when men look at each other and they give them the head nod. Look at another mum breastfeeding, and you're like, girl, I've got you. I know exactly what you're going through right now. I know you don't want to have your boob out in public, but the child has to be fed. I get it. More power to you. Like, just little things like that. Stop. More things like that.
So, thank you so much for sharing the response to that question. I think it's really amazing the way you've actually responded to that, because I think sometimes as mothers, we just need to know someone has experienced that, sat in that seat, and there's that relatability. Sometimes it's not just being heard, because sometimes you don't feel like, oh, you won't know what it's like because you don't experience it, but someone has experienced that with you, that knows the pain of breastfeeding, that knows the pain of sleepless night or having stitches from C-section. It's just like you feel a sense of relief that you don't have to over explain it. They just hear it, and there's just something magical that happens in that moment. So thank you so much. Right, moving on to the next question. Next question is, how has motherhood changed your perspective on yourself, your goals, and life in general?
I think it's maybe more determined, because there's times where, and I think this is a natural feeling, so don't necessarily think of it as a bad thing, but there's times where being a mum can feel very burdensome, and it can feel as though it's holding you back from doing stuff. On the flip side of that, though, it's also the thing that truly motivates you to keep going. Even on the days where you don't want to, because you're like, I have children, or I have a child. I need to find it. I need to find it from somewhere to like get it done, or I need to call in the others to help me get it done. So I feel like for me, it's made me 100% more determined to be an improved, I don't even want to say better, an improved version of myself that is equipped and sufficient for the period that I'm in and the one that I'm about to step into, but then also determined to not go back and lose myself again. So I feel like there's a difference in shedding parts of ourselves because we're evolving, and then there's losing yourself because you've lost sight of where you're going, what you're doing, why you're here, how you're feeling, what you're trying to do. I don't ever want to go back into that arena, because when I was, it was that almost made me cling to motherhood like a life jacket. Like, out of everything, I might not know who I am, but I know I'm a mum. Like, that's the one consistent thing. I am a mum. If my partner left, I'm still a mum. If I lost a job, guess what? I'm still going to be a mum. If I don't know, I've put on weight, I'm still a mum. If I don't like what this looks like, I'm still a mum. It felt like a safe constant. At the same time, I'm doing a disservice because you are more than a mum. Like, a mum is essentially a role that you're doing. You are supervising, looking after, tending to the life you created, but that doesn't mean that all I am is a mum. If I had to have it written on my tombstone, it wouldn't be mum and just like the day I was born and I passed away, I would like to think there would be more on there outside like mum, sister, daughter, wife. Like what else? What else did I do?
Oh, so
Like, so yeah, I just think it's made me determined, because even though I feel quite aware of who I am, I know there's still so much more I don't know about myself. So I'm also determined to know those parts. And I think as your children get older, you learn more because you start having more time to be with yourself, to pour into yourself. Like, I'm sure when my children leave and I'm probably like 60 years old and like officially no children live with me, for example, I will be in a complete season of what does Nadine want to do now? Because I will have that freedom and luxury to do the stuff. Like, yes, grandkids, you can look after them, but I'm going to send them back to their parents. Do you know what I mean? I'm going to be like, goodbye. This has been lovely. I love you guys, but go back home, please. Because I want to get back into doing the things that I enjoy doing. But if I'm not determined to see who I am now, I don't know what that person's going to potentially look like, or if I'm even setting that version of myself up well. Like, am I stewarding that future version of me well in this season?
again, like, there's this beautiful seamless connection. Is the more you deepen your connection, awareness, understanding of self, how that automatically pours into how you show up as a mother, how you honor yourself as a mother, how you check in with yourself as a mother. I love that because you just keep repeating it in different ways. Like you like there's something that there's a common message theme that you're landing on, where you just keep pushing for who are you in this moment, what do you need, it's okay not to be okay, like you're doing your best, and then you correct it. I love the way you said it. It's not better, like it was saying that there's nothing wrong with you, but it would just be an improved version, because there's always space for improvement.
Yeah, because I think we're kind of told as mums, like, if you're not a mum, then you have to like throw everything else away, or you have to the whole reinventing yourself. Like, I don't need to tear down the foundations of what I am. I just might need to tweak something here or there, because again, something in my motherhood might have made me realize it could be something as simple as I actually do like my body. But because I keep watching Instagram and TikTok and everyone's snapping back in 24 hours, I feel like I have to be. No, like, you could be amazing. Now, obviously, it doesn't mean that you just don't take care of yourself because I'm happy with who I am. Like, let's be sensible. Exactly. But it's so easy to take on the world standard as your own, and then feel like, oh, if I'm not being a good mom, if I'm not doing enough things with my child, if I don't have enough money to, I don't know, buy my child the latest whatever it is, then I have to reinvent myself so I can. No, you don't. Like, the same energy you're using to reinvent yourself, you could have just made the little tweak. I don't know, figured out how you're going to get the extra money, gone for the walk. Like, there's so many ways of like viewing stuff, and I think we can get so caught up in the world's expectations of this is motherhood, and we have to remember, when it comes to motherhood, is like, it's an identity. Like, literally, it's a role and it's an identity. And I think we can become so consumed on, oh, it's gonna look so bad if I put myself before my child, because then that means I'm not a good mom, because I love. No, you should love yourself more than your child. I'm sorry to say it, because at the end of the day, if you drop down because you're burnt out, you haven't done anything for yourself, guess what? Your child's gonna be left without someone who can look after them properly. Because now you've got the flu, you're sick in the bed, you have a fever, you can't cook, you can't eat. It's like, yeah, there just comes a point we have to be realistic, and we have to really honor ourselves and what we're doing, and understand that, again, you're doing fine. You are doing fine. This is just a season.
I don't know who you're thinking of when you're doing this. I don't know if you're actually speaking to your younger self, but there's something very powerful the way you're speaking to our mums. Like, you are directly speaking to a mum. Save you, look after you, put yourself first, love you. It's such a beautiful, tangible message that actually in the mesh of motherhood, often the mother forgets about including herself in the equation.
And I feel like it becomes ingrained in us because from conception, that's what we're doing. We're putting our child's needs first. Like innately, you're like, I have to protect my belly. I have to eat the right food. I have to like do the supplements, and you become this like protector. And it's not a bad thing because you should want to do that. But like any good thing, when you do it too much, something else suffers as a result of that. So why should it be that you are suffering doing the stuff that you already naturally do well, or that you're figuring it out? Like, you're not doing a bad job, you're figuring it out, and you're gonna get the answer because that will be the answer that fits you and your scenario and your child. Like, there comes a point where you just have to understand, like, I'm doing okay, I'm good. This makes sense for what I'm doing today, might not make sense tomorrow, and that's fine too. But right now in this moment, this is what works. That's fine. We can't beat ourselves up, and we can't also be too precious on the identities that we think we are meant to wear every day. Because sometimes mothering does look like having a grumpy face. And that's mothering today. And sometimes it's your jaw's aching because you're smiling and you're so happy at your little bundle of joy. They can do nothing wrong on that day. Like, it's ebbs and flows with everything. So I think we can't get so caught up in, oh, because I'm a mother, this means checklist. No, it doesn't. It really, really doesn't.
I love it, because I know that had I had this advice, there are so many times I would have paused and sat down instead of just keep pushing.
And if I had this advice, I would have done the same thing. Trust me, because I wasn't doing all of this when I popped out my first one. I know that much.
No, like, the first one's the experiment one. I'm so sorry. Like, my daughter knows. She said, "Yeah, I'm the experiment child."
Yeah, that's what I said to my sister. I was like, "Yeah, you're the one that has to be made into the example."
Yeah, they grow up
My brother's the one that got spoiled, and I was just like, "I'm here. I've arrived."
You're doing amazing. Thank you so much, Nadine. Next question: what did you have to sacrifice in order to become a mom?
I feel like we sacrificed some things knowingly and other things unlovingly. I feel like there was a time I sacrificed my sanity because I didn't know if I was coming or going. I also sacrificed some of the dreams that I wanted. So even though I was doing stuff, so whether that was university stuff or whatever I was trying to achieve at that time, although I was doing things, I think because I didn't have a clear vision, I sacrificed a lot of time because I was able to put myself in a space of like, I've got kids, so it's fine. I'll just have to put a pin in it for now and kind of justify why I couldn't do it when I probably could have. But I think ultimately I sacrificed parts of myself. And I think it goes back to losing aspects of who I was as Nadine. But there's something so beautiful in like rediscovering those things. And I think when we think we've lost parts of ourselves, we just believe we can never retrieve it. Like, it's gone. And there's so many parts of myself that I've rediscovered, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, that's still there, or you still like these things, or it's nice because it comes under the umbrella as well of mothering yourself. Again, you're like, oh, now we're a bit older, we've got a little bit more experience and wisdom under our belt. We can enrich what that was and make it fit where we're at now. So that's really cool, even though it came out of sacrificing. But I think there's an element where we have to be okay with sacrificing certain things. And some things we temporarily sacrifice. So again, it could be your career for a little bit, or I don't know, it could be a relationship, might go apart and then come back together. But then we have to be very cognizant of knowing when we are sacrificing something for the long term and that is for the betterment of whatever it is you're trying to step into. And I think that can obviously change depending on where you're at. But I feel like there's times where that can be a necessity to do because you end up carrying everything. Like, no one wants to carry everything with them in regards to who they are. Like, some things you have to sacrifice, some things you actually do have to let go. Whether that's people, I don't know, places, objects, possessions, like some things you just have to let go in order to just move forward. And then there's times you sacrifice things for your children. Like there's things that I might not wanted to have given up on, but then you're just like, I have to. Like in order for this to work, in order for them to have the life that I've been striving for them to have, that's gotta go.
That's the reality.
Yeah.
And I love that you said it will be different for everybody in different circumstances and different reasons. But there are some sacrifices that have to be made, both knowingly and unknowingly. Sometimes we don't realise. Only when we look back and go, oh wow, that really had to happen.
Yeah. And the thing that makes me laugh is we sacrifice a lot of stuff and then we realise that we survived it.
Yes.
So at the time you're just like, I wasn't gonna do it, and then you survived it.
Yes. Who were you before you became a mother? Who was the Nadine before?
I was a party goer. I loved a good rave. I did. I was a high heel wearing girly.
Oh, I love my high heels.
Like to put on high heels now is the equivalent of me walking in stilts. Like it's just so. I love heels. I feel like there's something about a heel that just makes you feel more of a woman. But walking in the heel makes you feel more like Bambi. Like if I haven't got a car, then I can't wear the shoe. That's where I'm at. But before, yeah, I was just like free-spirited in a sensible way. Like I wasn't to the point where I was just out here doing every and anything. Like I was never like someone who was like into drugs, and I just enjoyed being around my friends, living my life, earning my money, buying the clothes, going like just your standard girly. And loved reading. I've always loved reading, and I'm very studious. And the funny thing is, I don't feel like much of that has changed. I feel like the going out has, because now I'm just like, why? Like, I feel like because we can stream stuff. I'm like, why am I going to pay for a concert? Someone's going to put it on YouTube. Why am I paying £80 to £100 to see the person? And I guarantee you, before the day's done, TikTok will have every angle of that concert. I'm not paying. Like, but it's like most of the stuff that I've been doing, I'm like, I don't actually have to do these things now, but I also enjoy my company and I enjoy my space. I think when you're younger, you want to be outside, you want to explore. As I've gone older, I'm just like, I want to be in my house. I want to be in my bed. I want to know that I can open my fridge and the food is there. Like, I don't have to do anything. I don't have to go anywhere for validation or anything, because the reality is I'm in my space. And like I just like being in my space. But I don't even think that's a motherhood thing. I just think that's when you get older, you really just start to value the quality of things. With that being said though, I think the parts of myself that I lost was, I feel like I took a lot of things for granted. I'm glad I grew up in an era where you could have a childhood. Like I had a childhood, I had teenage years, I lived out the young person's dream. I didn't have like any pregnancies or anything like that. So I got to be a young adult. And unfortunately, I feel like that's being stripped away from the kids in this generations. But I think what I lost a little bit of was like my mojo. I think I got to being a mum and my mojo just left my body. And I was just like, oh, okay. Like, I'll just do mum life now. And what's funny is, and I don't know if this is like that for other mums, it's like you lose your mojo, so being a mum is the new mojo.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to be the best mum. Because I don't know what else to do with myself. So I'm going to be a mum, and I'm going to mum well, and it's going to be amazing. And then they get bigger, and you're just like, oh, I want some of my old stuff back. So again, I think it's really nice to reclaim those parts of myself. More tentatively, because again, like I said, you've got more experience, so now you're not gonna go out on Saturday night. And I know we have all the little gifts and it's just like, oh, you're 40 years old, so 9 o'clock's in your bedtime. Like if someone asks you to come out after 7, you're just like, yeah, I'm not doing that because it's 7 o'clock at night. Why would I want to do that? But there are aspects of I do want to go and travel. Like, I do want to start seeing the world a bit more. I do want to have different experiences at my age. Some things I do want to experience the same things that I used to, but just at my age, because now I'm looking at life through a different lens. So it could be a whole new thing, or it could be really nostalgic, or it could be like, why the hell did you do that? Like, girl, you're not 20. You had no business being there. You had no business being there doing what you was doing. You are no longer part of that era. Stop. But yeah, I feel like although there was stuff that I used to do before, I can look back on it fondly, and I think some of that does come from having a well-rounded childhood and just like adolescence and young adulthood, where I don't feel like if I haven't carried all of these things through till now, I've missed out. Like, I don't get that FOMO of like, oh, I really wish I could do X, Y, Z. I think the FOMO when you have children is like, I miss sleep. I miss being able to go to bed and wake up when I wanted. I miss not having to think every day about what I was going to eat, because I could just figure it out as the day went on. Like it's like the really mundane things that you take for granted are the things that I'm like, you know, that stuff. Oh, if I could revive that back. Yeah, I'll have that all day long. But I don't miss it in a sense of I cling to it like I really wish I had that. My life just doesn't feel the same without it. It's fine.
Different season. It's beautiful. I love that. It's so funny though. You were so many relatable points there.
Yeah, literally. There's times I'm just like, oh, I remember when I didn't have to take them shopping with me. Like, just simple things, just going supermarket and just grabbing stuff and not, can I have? And then right back before, it's like, oh.
When I see mums now, like I've got like 4 or 5 children, I'm like, oh, did I really do that? Like at the time I did it. I'm like, I don't think I could do that now.
Yes. There's even times I will like give a little compliment to them,
yes,
like, because I'm just like, girl.
Yeah.
I remember having the one in the basket, the one holding the side, the one in the belly, like you're struggling to turn the trolley, feels like it's gonna capsize it. Like, I remember those days, and when it's like hot, oh, that heat. I said,
I totally remember that, because I had the double buggy. I've got 2 that's really close in age, and then the other one came along, and they say he was on, on the carrier. But it's so funny because when you go down memory lanes with these memories, Paolo, he's the second to youngest. He had the funniest thing that we were all crying. So obviously he was a child perspective. I thank you for bringing up all these memories. I'm going to go to speak to my kids. And he had this memory. So it was a Phil and Ted buggy. Those Phil and Ted double buggies where you got the bit underneath. So it's funny how the perception of a child, because obviously we all watch the same thing, we have different perceptions. So his memory was that we were struggling, and because he didn't understand why I used to put him underneath the bucket as a child. I was like, you weren't under the bucket, sweetheart. That
was in the grocery basket. You was in the other seat.
I used to walk outside with Amir on the carrier. Yasmin was in the buggy, and I would slide him underneath where the shopping goes. We were on the floor, and he was like, really, like I had to apologize because he was in his moment, because I'm trying to go like, it was like, oh mum, it was so hard, like it's like a rags to riches story. It's like, I was in the basket, mum, what was going on? Like, fancy that, the basket,
You're like, listen, we gotta do what we gotta do out here. Are you not alive? Okay. Are you not still with us? Okay.
As you said that, it just brought up these memories. Thank you so much. Oh God, yeah. So it's funny, you might see my children on Jeremy Kyle giving a different picture.
Just a hard life.
But that got me though. I was like, yeah, that's rude. So the next question I have is, what is the gift of motherhood?
I think I said it before, and it's the same thing. It's watching them grow up. Like, just seeing the different phases of them, just seeing them, and it's the physical change as well. Like, I know when you're so used to being around your children, especially when they're younger, and someone's like, oh my God, they're grown, but you don't see it. When their body starts changing, so like when they get to like 5, and then all of a sudden they're like 9, then they're 13, and it's like, you're growing. It's almost like looking at the evolution of life, like the monkey becoming like the human or something. Like, oh my God, look. All these different stages, like you're growing, you have like facial hair, or I don't know, even just little things. I remember, so random, but I remember like my sons, like when they first started to have like body odor. And for me, that was a big thing. I was like, oh my God, like you have a manly smell about you. I don't know how I feel about this because you're only like 14. What does this mean? What does this mean? It's strange. It's like so gratifying, but then it's that realization as well. It's like, oh my gosh, they're growing up. They're gonna have their own life soon. And even though they have their little social groups and stuff now, it's like I can't imagine like, oh, like you're gonna have a family one day, or you just might decide I'm just gonna travel the world, and you'll just be out here traveling the world, and I might not see you for a good couple of years. Like there's so many possibilities, but just getting to experience them, like seeing them grow up, seeing them change, and then being able to experience them in real time, like to me, it's amazing.
Thank you for sharing. You know, I'm really grateful that you spoke into that. I don't think a lot of mums get to talk about that aspect. You know, those transitional phases, they hit you like a truck. It's like, wow,
Yeah.
you're no longer my baby boy. You're no longer my baby girl. Like going through those phases, and exactly what you've touched on. Because, you know, you do hear some quite negative comments like, oh, you can't hold on to your child and let them live. And it's not that. It's that mothers are going through the shock of they only see the child as their baby, and they always will be their baby. But when you get those thresholds of puberty, manhood, you know, or girlhood, and realizing, wow, you're going to chase your dreams. I might not see you for 6 months, a year, 2 years. And I'm happy for that for you. But I guess in the parenting phase, a bit like when you're living with them, you don't see the growth spurts. That realization doesn't really kick in.
Yeah.
It starts happening, or they go off to uni. It's like, oh my God, like this is happening. Like what's so I feel for mums. I think sometimes society is so harsh. Oh, she won't let him go. She won't let her go. You don't realize that child has been that mother's everything, or the parents' everything.
From the beginning.
Yes. And it's like they've been through the ups and downs, especially if there's been health challenges or whatever else. And you just go, oh, they're going to wake up one moment and be okay. It's like that transitional phase. And some people don't have a village. Some people don't have support. So they're trying to work out, who am I? I've been this for 20 years. Who am I now?
And the thing that's beautiful as well, when you were speaking, it made me think about my milestones. They're almost like when you see your child growing up, they also like represent reference points to you growing up. Because I think sometimes we forget that we are growing up with our children. Like, yes, we thingy our kids, like we parent our kids, but we're technically growing alongside our kids. So when I see pictures of myself with my oldest and he's a baby, I look like a child. Like I would have been 23, but I look like I was probably 15 years old. And I'm just like, oh my God, like that's you as a mom. Like it's really surreal. And I'm like, that's you as a mom. Or you go through the pictures on your phone or whatever, and then you're just like, oh my, like I remember that. Oh my God. Like, what was I doing? What was I wearing? What was I thinking? Why did I put you in that? Like, there's so many things that go in your head, but it's mad because you have encapsulated a moment that you probably wouldn't think about otherwise. So when you get to like reference point your life and you can see like, oh my gosh, they're there as them at that age, and then you look or they call your name, you're like, oh my gosh. Like 10 years have just gone like that, and I feel like the years are going quick anyway.
So true.
But it's like, oh, like I get to witness you like grow up, and you also get to witness me grow up as well. Because they probably have the similar sentiment if someone asks them that question about their parent. Yeah, you'll be like, oh.
I love what you're saying. Sorry for interrupting. I really love what you're saying, because like my eldest is 25, and like just thinking by her age, I had 2 children. And seeing the innocence in them, I think that's also a big one. So by the time I was 25, I had 2 children, but then my son's 20, going to turn 21. By his age, I already had 1. And it's like the innocence, when I look at my kids, is like, they're not immature, but they're still growing into their adulthood. And I'm just thinking, wow, you have so many different phases and thought processes that go through. So the gift.
And
go ahead.
Even you saying that made me think they've also witnessed us mothering in different seasons.
Yes.
But even what I might think when I'm like, oh yeah, but I had two with them and this is what it was like, I guarantee if I probably asked them what it was like, if they remember certain parts, they would have their own stories to tell me.
Yes.
I remember you used to do this, and I remember, and all of a sudden now you do this, or da 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 da, or. And I'm like, wow, you literally saying that just made my spirit feel like they have witnessed you mother. Like, if you wanted a first-hand statement, they could tell you how you mother them.
That's so true.
And I've never really sat down and thought about that. Because I just think about it from my stance of like, I remember what it was like in 2020, whatever. But yeah, asking them, it would be really interesting. I might have to ask them that.
Do that. Sit down and ask them that.
Yeah, just be like, oh my gosh,
have
how's
that
my
space.
mothering been since you were a
I was
baby?
quite
to now?
young. I asked my kids like every after, like we sort of grew up alongside each other,
Mhm.
but ask those questions. I think it'll be a massive eye opener.
Yeah.
Hear their perspective, but also when they commend you because they've seen stuff. They've seen stuff, and they'll mention things, and you'll be just like, wow, you can't believe that you saw it that way. And
Or they've seen stuff that we haven't seen.
Definitely, 100%. That will definitely come up.
Yeah, stuff we haven't seen, or stuff that we have deliberately pretended didn't happen. And they'd be like, yeah, do you remember that one time? When you forgot me in the shop. You're like, no, I never forgot you in the shop. Shush.
I love it. Yeah, they will definitely have those moments.
They will have those stories.
When you have that conversation, please tell me. That's fantastic. So the next question. So I've got a set of 4 questions. Doing brilliant, by the way. So there's 4 trivial questions just to make you laugh a little bit. So the first one is: if the kids were to write a book about you, what would the title be?
It's gonna be I got it from my mama. Yeah. And it'll probably be about all the stuff that they've learned from me. Or that they hold on to that came from me. Yeah.
That's beautiful. When you finish, ask them, see what they say.
Yeah. That might be the name of my daughter's poetry book, little does she know. Or maybe like write some poems and I can say you got it from your mama.
I love that.
So yeah, she'll probably let me do it as well, knowing her.
Oh, I'm excited about this book project. Amazing. Next one is: what's your go-to hideout place when you need a break?
My office or my room. My room's becoming a bit more of a sanctuary now because I moved a few of my exercise things upstairs so I can just shut my door and just do my thing. My office, because that's what I designed it for. Although it's an office, I call it like my secret space. So this is where I just like to be. It's nice and it's small, and I've got all my books here, and I can just sit here, and I've got like my Bluetooth speaker. It's just not the Zen space. But I say my room because there was a season in my life where in my old flat, my living room got turned into a bedroom because of housing. So there was no separation between my office, my bedroom, my living room being my bedroom. So now I really appreciate having a living room that's over there, a bedroom that's up there, and it's like just my space. So yeah, those are my hideouts.
I love how you contextualize the meaning around that. Sometimes we do something and it teaches us to actually cherish what we have. Sometimes we lose someone that's sacred to us and we cherish life even more. But also because sometimes we don't have that space, when that space shows up, you cherish it even more, you love it even more, you appreciate, you're grateful. Yeah. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So, what's the most unexpected thing that you've ever found in your children's backpack or pockets coming from school?
Thank God I haven't found anything bad or controversial. Moldy food.
Yeah, that tends to be the most common one. It's like, really?
And it's weird because I've raised my children to be clean, like to be hygienic. So when it comes to things like when they got to a certain age, I'm not going to go in your bag anymore because you are old enough to take your stuff out of your bag. Now, maybe this is where leaving your children to their own devices can go away. Like giving a responsibility that you think they're ready for, that clearly, regardless of their age, for whatever reason, they're not there yet. Moldy food every time kills me, because the majority of the time I don't realize there's moldy food because I'm trusting they are doing what they're meant to do until it stinks. And it's that thing of what is in your, like, why does your room smell like that? Like, what's wrong? Open the window and the day goes on and you're just like, what is that smell? And then something says to you, look behind the thing, or open up the bag, and there's like a moldy muffin, or like a gone off milkshake, or like a hot, and it's just like, really? So then I'm not. And then what confuses me even more, and I'm just going off on a tangent, what confuses me even more is when you have the audacity, the gumption, and the goal to use the bag. like, if I can smell it, you can't tell me you have that on your back or on your arm, and there's not enough fresh air for your nostril not to smell the smell. So we're just out here living a very, very nobody looks after me life.
So funny.
That irks me. Or the times when they would leave like wet swimming costumes and stuff in the bag. Like anything where it's just like, why is it not out of the bag? Oh, and the last one would be not finishing the food and leaving it in the microwave, convincing yourself you're gonna eat it, and then I go choose the microwave the next day and the food is still in the
Yeah.
Because now I'm annoyed that you wasted my food and my money. You wasted my good preparation time, especially if I cook the food for you, and now I'm gonna have to call you to come from wherever you are to take the thing out and deal with it because I'm not doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah, those things irritate me. This is when I get tested with patience. This is when the patience comes back into play to show me how much do I have.
You've got multiple children, that's happening. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, and you would think if you go for it once, like you get accustomed. Every time, it's like the first time with stuff like that. Every time, it drives me insane.
The next question I have: what's your funniest mum fail moment?
Funniest mum fail. I think I mentioned this to you before. The first like explosive poo. Because you hear about it, and it's funny when it's someone else, but when it's you, it's like you don't know. You never become so flustered in your life. You don't know what to do. I remember I was changing my son's bum, and he already had like a bit of a big poo. And you know, you kind of lift up their leg, and then for whatever reason, it's just like you've activated more air to shoot out of their body. And when I tell you the poo it was on me, it was on the bed, it was on the wall, and he's just there looking all types of relieved. And he's just peeing away, like he's doing all the things. And I'm just sitting there holding his leg like a chicken. And I'm just like, what do I do? And then it's like it's everywhere. And then you're just grossed out because this is poo. This is human poo on me. And although I love my child, why is it on me? And now I have to clean that and the child and the bed and it's a lot. And it's a fail because it doesn't matter how much you think you're prepared. You're not prepared for stuff like that. No. You're not prepared for the poo up the back. And you're like especially not prepared when you're outside. Like, have you ever had a poo explosion in a buggy? And you're outside. Oh, yeah. I'll leave that visualization. You know those are mummy bells.
Yeah, thank you for the childhood.
Sorry if anyone's PTSD has like flared up now. I apologize. But those things, nothing will ever prepare you until it happens.
You know, I actually forgot about those days. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, you either laugh or you cry. You either laugh, cry, or you just sit there in shock, like reflecting on.
And the fact we can laugh now, at those times, it was just like, no, it can't be happening. This can't be happening to me. Not now.
Especially when you're tired. Especially when you're tired. That happening in the middle of the night, you're awake. That's what I'm going to say to you. It happens to you and you're awake. You're not going back to sleep anytime soon. Because the amount of maneuvering you have to do, your body will wake up.
Gosh, that has really brought me some memories there. God. So we're doing really well. So this aspect is going to focus a bit about the amazing work that you do, if you can share it with our listeners. So if our community of listeners could support you in 3 transformative ways, what would you ask for?
It would
You can
be
actually,
to...
sorry, Nadine, just tell everyone what you do. Sorry to interrupt you. Just
Okay, so I'm a journal therapist, and what that means is that I love helping people again through writing. If you haven't clocked on already, so I help people with expressing themselves through writing. So that can be to help with your overall well-being, because I think it does help in all aspects of that. And I hold like little online group sessions. I do workshops. I do facilitations, panel discussions, and I also write like journaling workbooks and poetry books. So I would say the 3 ways you could help me would be go and buy my books on Amazon, buy the books. I would say show up for any of the events that I do or any of the workshops that I do, because you're guaranteed to walk away with something. I am yet to have anybody come to my workshop that didn't walk away with something, which I'm happy to say. And the last thing I would do is, one of the easiest and biggest ways to support is sharing. So whether that's sharing the newsletter or sharing the post, or just like a word of mouth recommendation, like I went to a session, it was really good, I found it useful, she's doing another one then, like come join me because I'm going to be there. Like those things make such a difference, and it doesn't take any time or energy, because we live in a world where you can just click and it's done. So for me, those things would truly, truly help.
excellent. Thank you so much for that. What's one way that you plan on paying it forward as a result of our conversation today?
The obvious part would be, like I just said, sharing it to whoever's going to listen. Whoever will open up the message is who I will be sharing it to. But I also think paying it forward is to not keep what I have taken away to myself. You need to give it to somebody else, because I feel like if we're listening to podcasts like this, if we're reading books like this, it's because we know that there is either a lack of it or a need of it, because you have needed it. Once you have it, I think it is very unbecoming. I'm not even going to say selfish. It's unbecoming that you keep it to yourself, because the reason why these things are being provided is with the intention for it to be shared, and for the intention for it to have impact on whoever needs it. And the whole episode might not resonate with somebody, but you sharing it, they might find that one thing where they're like, oh my God, I needed to hear this. This confirmed this for me. This is something I didn't know, but now I want to know more. So yeah, please do not be precious in what's being done here, because what is being done is really, really good stuff.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Next question is, how do you hope sharing your story today is going to impact other mums?
I think it's going to impact them because they realize that they're perfectly fine. Like, you're normal. Nothing you're going through is abnormal. Nothing you're going through will you be the first, so to speak. I think it will also show them as well that there's different degrees of motherhood, and you kind of fluctuate between all of them. You're never going to be one stylization of motherhood. Because again, like I said, we're dealing with human beings, we change, so it's impossible for it to remain the same. And I just hope that they walk away understanding that you're not being asked to be the perfect mother. You're being asked to be the best mother, but I think for this particular episode, you're also being challenged compassionately to remember what it means to be your best self.
I love that. To be your best self, and that's good enough. I really love that. Beautiful message. As a result of our conversation, what would you like to say to the father of your children in terms of words of gratitude or appreciation that has been poured into your ear?
I would like to say to the dad that although things may not have been as we would have anticipated them to be, the best things that came out of it did. So regardless of how we feel towards each other, about each other, the essence of what it is that we had that was good, they're here.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Nadine. So the next question is, what are you proud of yourself for?
Ultimately, I think for continuing to keep going. I feel like there's been lots of points in my life where I know a lot of people would have just been like, F this, and they would have checked out a long time ago. And we kind of, it's not something to joke about, but we do joke about it. In regards to, like, my mum would say to me, like, there's people who would end up in Moseley just going through like 2 of the things that you've been through. She's like, I don't understand how you've gone through so much stuff and you're still happy. Like, you still smile, like, you're very smiling. She's like, we've known people that have like been sectioned for things for less than what I've gone through. So I'm just happy that I keep going. Yeah, I feel like that's something to be proud of.
Your mother's actually very right. You're right. Very, very true. A lot of people break for less, much less. Next one is, what do you want to say sorry to yourself?
For being too hard on myself when I didn't need to be. Yeah, I feel like, again, being in the headspace of like trying to perform my way through things because it felt easier and more controlled to do it that way. I think for making tough decisions that I had to make, even though they were the right decisions, but having to make tough decisions and follow through, I would be like excruciatingly hard on myself. And I think the last thing would be being so scared of being vulnerable that I wasted a lot of time where I could have been more empowered than being strong.
That's a lot to be proud of. It's really beautiful how you're self-aware to just be able to run through that. So although that you're sorry to yourself about those things, what do you actually need to forgive yourself
for? For letting it go on for so long. Again, I think it's been something that I've learned later on in my life to be okay with situations, even if they're not the best situations, but not setting up shop there. I feel like there was times that even though forward facing, I was getting on with stuff, behind the scenes, I was just like, okay, we're here. Right. And then just mentally trying to get yourself ready to be like, okay, well, tomorrow's coming and we're going to do it all over again. So like, let's get the sleep and let's get stuff rolling. I think we really do take advantage of time. And I think now that I'm older, I do truly appreciate time because it goes really quickly. And it's the one commodity you cannot get back. Like, there's nothing you can do to get time back. You're either making up for lost time because you can't get it back, or it's just, this is where we're at. So I feel like in seasons where I wasted time being in, whether that's the headspace or letting things go on for too long, or like I said, being too hard on myself, is something that I definitely try to show forgiveness to and have done, but I feel like I try to actively do it through my actions when it comes to myself as I move forward.
It's beautiful. And time is an interesting thing. I love that you said that because I think often we convince ourselves that we have time.
Yeah.
We're all on borrowed time.
Yeah.
It's like, it's such a blessing to get to 20, 30, 40 because, you know, children transition. So it's not that, oh, you're just guaranteed to live 80 years or 100 years. We just don't know. So you're well said. Next question I have, and it's the final one. What are you willing to let go of and heal from as a result of our conversation today?
So can you say the last bit of that?
Oh, so what are you willing to let go of and heal from as a result of our conversation today?
I'm gonna say I'm willing to let go of laying down facets of myself. I know what parts I'm comfortable like amplifying and like putting a spotlight on. But I feel like there's other stuff underneath that I need to become more accepting of bringing to the forefront. Because the interesting thing is those things that people see that I don't see. So I feel like that's something that I definitely need to let go of. And the other part was, what would I?
It's the willing to let go of and heal from. It was just to let go of and heal from.
To heal from. I feel like healing from being so hard on versions of my previous self. Because I feel as though even though, yeah, we move on and we evolve, sometimes we still carry remnants of those parts. And I think I'm in a season where I'm learning to heal certain parts of that person. Not necessarily because it directly impacts the version of me now, but it allows for me to walk away from it. Like to know that it's good and I can walk away from that now.
Well, I want to thank you for spending this time together today. It's been absolutely amazing. You've made me laugh and experience all of the arrays of emotions, to be fair. Is there any last words that you want to leave for the listeners?
If my daughter doesn't break the door down, 1 second. I would say, what would I say? I would say you're doing a great job. Like, even if it doesn't feel like you're doing a good job, you're doing a great job. And I think just you showing up every day, just you being active and not being passive in your mothering is you going above and beyond. I feel like we hear like, oh, you're doing such a good job. And we think like, oh, we've made it. But you're actually doing a great job. Because again, mothering is so hard. And it's not to say that fathering isn't, but it's a whole, I feel like being a father and being a mother is two different things. And I think some of that stems from the fact that we have carried this life from the beginning. Like we have a different type of connection to our children. And because we're so interconnected with one another, we will settle for just being good at what we're doing and not understanding that we're actually being great. Like every day, even when you feel like you've gotten it wrong, you're actually being great because you're still there showing up. So I feel like if they walk away with anything, if they made it to the end of the episode, know that you are doing an amazing job and you're doing a job that was specifically designed for you. That there's a reason why your child is your child and you're that child's mother, and that in itself should just be celebrated.
Love that. Oh my god, I love that. It's such a beautiful final message. Oh wow, amazing. I'm not adding to that. That is beautiful. Amazing meeting with you here. I'm just going to close out and then I will just release you back to your family. So a call to action for listeners. Listeners, let's turn words into action. If you've been moved by today's story, think about how you can offer some support, no matter how big or small. Whether it's through a kind message, shared resources, or connecting with our guest, let's build a community that uplifts and empowers each other. Thank you for tuning into the Unheard Cries of a Mother. Your story matters, and together we can create a ripple effect of understanding, support, and transformation. If today's conversation resonated with you, please like, comment, and subscribe. And more importantly, share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. Remember, as mothers, we are stronger together. And until next time, let's keep lifting each other up and turning unheard cries into powerful voices. Thank you so much, Nadine.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.